Ooh, there we go.
Yeah.
So all of your characters are, you guys are all on a prison transport ship. You can take a moment. We're going to roll some dice real quick here. So while we're doing that, you can take a moment to decide if you know each other, which you know each other, why you ended up on this prison transport ship. So this is an Empire prison transport ship. You can decide why you are on said ship. You guys are on the way to a basically like a prison, like it's a mine that is exclusively operated by prisoners, although it's managed by the Empire.
Does this ship happen to be named La Amistad?
I was thinking more like Con Air, but
Con Air.
So this would be Con Water,
Con
Ocean.
Yeah, Con yeah, water. Con boat.
So yeah, you're on your way to a mine. Turns out there's no, like, it's sort of a one-way trip. Not a lot of people come back from said mine.
Not so much like early release for good behavior type deal.
Right. Yeah. This isn't a nice work farm somewhere upstate. This is the kind of place where they send you, basically they want either you need to disappear or they want you to disappear. Either way, this is why they send you out there.
Oh, the LaQuint Dickey boys.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I imagine my character probably met you guys on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty smart.
My character
Almost
probably
What
got
is everybody?
arrested.
Yeah, you go for it, Matt. What are you?
So I'm a 7'5", 535-pound elephant man. Wearing a lot of like orange and like have like a little bit of face paint on, some white face paint, and I have these like large metal bracelets, like rings.
I think we all have those on
Like,
right
have you
now.
Yeah, and it turns out all of you have metal bracelets on.
Oh, we all wore the same outfit.
Yeah.
You know that movie Kung Fu Hustle?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know the guy who the like hidden martial artist who like works at the clothing store who has like the bracelets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So something like that.
Cool.
And yeah, very very chill. I probably got asked to go with them, to go on the boat, and I just kind of went willingly. So
Nice.
that's probably why I'm on and who I am. My name is Tantor.
How about you, Ryan?
All right, Sir Kipsith Bellow Stockenapchuck, a 7-foot Goliath paladin, excuse me. So, yeah, upwards of 7 feet, 400 pounds ish, big boy. Feels quite naked without the armor. Definitely a lot stronger than I am dexterous, but somehow still slightly charming. Probably on the boat for religious persecution, captured and sent to work. But, oh, this is a big one.
Yeah.
You can make big rocks into little rocks.
Yeah. Get a few miles out of you before before something breaks.
And you, Matt?
So my name is Cor Opalvan. I'm a Valenar High Elf and yeah, pretty much got a bit of a sort of. I guess you wouldn't have necessarily seen anything particularly unusual about me so far, because I'm guessing no one on here is like especially wealthy.
Not anymore.
Probably the monk.
Yeah, that's
You know how they are with the well.
You're holding out on me, old man.
I see those bracelets.
Yeah, so Olive. So basically, yeah, I'll have been here because someone will have finally managed to catch me in the process of trying to kill a rich person. Yeah, maybe a hunt didn't go particularly well, or maybe one of the traps didn't go off quite as I was expecting. But yeah, I imagine him kind of. Let's think. He'd probably be played by. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the guy who plays like Diego in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Nice.
It's got that same kind of slightly obsessive compulsive tendency when it comes to getting a job done once it's got into his head.
We have to save the president.
Gotta save the
Yeah,
president.
exactly.
You can't save shit. You don't understand.
Hero for two. Yeah, so
we'll do that, and then we'll go back in time and kill Hitler.
yeah.
And then we'll go future time into a different multiverse.
So yeah, so that's me.
Alive.
But that's my guy. Looking a bit miserable that he didn't get his kill.
All right, Rob.
Yep. I am playing Spot, the Kobold Dominion, totally full-on Cult of the Dragon. Dragons are awesome. Anything stronger than me is awesome. I am overly subservient, and pretty much anyone with a strength greater than 8 is my boss. I'm playing an Artificer, so I'm good with tools and toys. I take that as it's meant, not as it was stated.
I make dildos. No big deal.
But they're dragon dildos.
Right. That means they're bumpy. All right. Okay. So
minibus.
So you guys, the treatment that you guys have received has not been fantastic thus far in the hands of the prison guards.
How many are on the ship?
How many? So you guys are on a ship. You're in the hold of the ship, and everybody there's this massive sort of log that runs down the middle of the ship, and you're chained. So you guys are bound. You have shackles and manacles. So sort of feet and hands. You're bound, and the chains run through this massive log, and all of you are sort of chained together.
Okay. Do we know how many guards are on board?
You don't know specifically. There were a lot that sort of herded you guys onto the ship and sort of stuffed you in there, particularly because there's a couple of biggins on there. And also, Matt, what was your character's? Matt Hill, what was your character's name?
Core.
In particular, Core is suspected of many violent crimes. So they also don't know if Core and Spot have been working together. Because they've seen there's been a lot of booby traps and things that have gone off, and they know that Spot does some tinkering, and so they don't know. So there's some suspected that possibly they've worked together. They don't know, and so they're treating sort of the lot of you. They're treating the lot of you with sort of extreme caution. There's also there's there's 8 other prisoners that are with you. 2 of which have also been treated with a sort of special attention. They're at the front. For the most part, they sort of kept to themselves. These 2, they sort of they talk to each other. Let's go ahead. So I need everyone to roll a D10 and a D4.
D10 and a D4.
Yep.
Oh,
8
this
and a
is
2.
great.
What's up?
8 and a 2.
All right. So the D10 is your hit points.
Great.
The D4 is your level of exhaustion.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh no!
I
I got
That's
I got a 6 on the D10, and
oh, we're in suspense.
So that's our current hit points, right? Not our max.
that is your
Max.
current that is your current hit points. That's your new maximum. Good luck with that.
What? But,
Alright, conditions level 2.
all right.
We may have lost.
Yeah, Matt's exhausted already.
Uh,
Yeah, Tantor. Maybe.
Luckily, I only rolled a 1 on the D4.
What's up?
Oh, yeah, he's gone. So luckily, I only rolled a 1 on the D4.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so you just have disadvantage.
and what's 2? Half your movement?
2 is half your movement. 3 is
What-
disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, and 4 is your hit point maximum is halved. You don't have to worry about that last one, really,
Yeah, that
at this point.
Yeah. I'm at 4 hit points and 4 for exhaustion.
Oh, winner! Spot's got everything. Yeah, Spot has not been. Spot's probably been bullied a little bit. Has not been treated well.
Yeah.
But hey, no one's tried to eat me, so winning.
Yeah.
The guards probably thought it was especially funny that you do whatever they told you to do as well.
Stand
I
on your
still
head
give-
until I tell you not to. Yes, yes.
Do I still give off my aura of protection, or are we like that tired? Everything's kind of not working.
No, your aura of protection still exists.
Okay.
But you have no spell slots. Your gear's been stripped away. You've been beaten. Why is Kipsith?
Religious persecution.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so for some of you, your capture was definitely not it wasn't a peaceful thing, right? Basically, you made the cops run, and they brought an ass kicking with them.
And then there was me. They told me to stop, so I did. They told me to put on the manacles, so I did.
Where do you want me to go? Okay.
Sounds great. They probably didn't even think you'd make the crossing. Like, just there for some amusement on the way.
We're bringing extra food for the prisoners.
Right. If that thing dies, you can eat it.
Yeah. All the food you need is on this ship.
Hey, I'm released twice a day to hunt rats.
Some of the rats on the ship are pretty big. They might tell you what to do. I don't know.
There's a reason I have the injuries. I'm not very good at fighting rats.
Right. All right, let's wait a second for hopefully. I'm sure Farnsworth is scrambling and screaming at his router.
Either
Or it
that
might be
he'd
power
have to
outage.
first rolling blackout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could be rolling blackout. But then, has someone got his phone? Have you on his phone, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm texting him right now.
say, are you good?
His character's really tired.
Really tired.
really, really tired. Yeah.
Sounded like he got a 4. I think he got a 6 and a 4.
Yeah.
Well, his
Or he just
exhaustion.
rage quit.
Yeah. I'm out.
I got a 1 and a 4. Fuck this. Yeah, he probably. I think his character's is just super tired from having to stoop over
Yeah.
all the.
Even when sitting.
Oh, did you say we'd used all of our spell slots as well?
Oh yeah, you have no spell slots, no equipment. You haven't been able to. That's why the exhaustion. Haven't been able to sleep.
Yeah.
Do I still get a divine sense then?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Lay on hands is all empty.
Empty. All that stuff is empty.
Stone's endurance.
Yeah, you're pretty it's so on the lead up to this, you guys were in this sort of this massive line of prisoners. So it started off, there were actually probably like 30 of you, and you had to sit for a couple of days out in the sun,
Nice.
chained together, and at some point, word got out of some of the prisoners in this line, and of course, obviously, the prisoners that were going to the going to the mine where you guys are heading. A lot of you are kind of the worst of the worst, or political prisoners. Or religious, things like that. So we'll say you garner strong reactions. You guys garner strong reactions from the populace, one way or the other. Mm-hmm. And a crowd began to gather, began to get larger. The guards were keeping them back, but they weren't like super enthusiastic about it. Eventually, it sort of came to a breaking point. I imagine, Core, you were taunting a lot, like come on and get some, you bunch of rich bastards.
Yeah.
Never, you don't know how it is, with the common people, and and of course, I imagine Core, does he actually go after like rich people, or is it like upper middle class and above?
He'll generally go after the richest person he can find. So he'll he has a.
Well, no wonder you got arrested.
Yeah.
So is it just anyone richer than him?
So the way it went down was, he was like originally like a hunter, so he would like go out with, like, a noble would hire him to help on like a hunt.
Right.
After a while, he realized that they were just like poisoning quarry and then like burning down forests to like corner these beasts and stuff, and like.
Right.
Eventually, he was kind of like looking around and thinking like, well, actually, if I'm in it for the hunt and for like the glory of the hunt, and actually like you're sat there surrounded by like armed guards, and maybe actually you're the more interesting quarry than than what we're out here for.
Right.
So yeah, he started making a bit of a business of that, like being a guide on some hunts that went tragically wrong for mysterious reasons.
I don't know why I keep being the only survivor.
Yeah, it's just it was real tough. I was just out in the wilderness. I came back and they were all just dead somehow.
What were you hunting? Pheasant?
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Turns out that pheasant was real good with a
But
long
they were the
bow, but, like, who
Hitchcockian
knew?
peasants, so
just
Yeah. Dangerous that.
yes. So he's not like he doesn't. I mean, so he's especially. It's really like the nobility that he especially hates. So not just like anyone who can rub two coins together.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you guys were in this line. In this line, eventually, sort of a riot broke out. The mob sort of attacked. The mob sort of attacked the line of prisoners, sort of in mass. Oh, that's cool. Our air quality is like 300.
Oh wow, awesome.
Okay. So anyway. They attacked you guys sort of in mass. There were many beatings. Some people got hit with bricks. So a goodly number of the prisoners died.
Yeah.
Did we take anyone with us?
No, they were. They didn't want to. They weren't taking any dead weight on the ship.
No. I meant, did we take any guards out?
Oh. You didn't take any guards out, but you definitely killed some rioters.
Nice.
That came at you, that sort of came in and got too close. Yeah. So I mean, for the most part, you guys are sort of violent.
Adjacent?
Violent adjacent. Well, definitely. The prisoners that were on that line were there for a reason. And for the most part, they were, they sort of fought like it was for their lives, because it was.
It kind of was.
Yeah. So you guys lost some members of the old chain gang there, but eventually you were loaded up onto the ship, and were secured to this massive log. It's hot. It smells really bad down where you're at. It's sort of dim light. There's sort of light coming through from through sort of the seams in the deck above you, and you can hear, you can hear the wind sort of blowing. You can hear the guards above you, sort of talking and whatnot. And you've been aboard the ship for probably 2-ish days now. You're being fed ish.
Yeah.
You're food and water ish. It's not super regular. They're not taking like the best of care of you. Although you do notice that the two guys that seem to be together, you notice like during the fighting, the larger and slightly older of the two was definitely protective of the other one.
What race are they?
What's up?
What race are they?
Human, you think?
Okay.
And you notice that they're at this point they're talking very, very quickly to each other. There's sort of an exchange going back, a whispered exchange going back and forth between the two. And it's sort of it's been carrying on for it's been getting. You've noticed that the conversation between the two, you can't quite make out what it is, but you've noticed that it's gotten sort of more intense in the last few hours.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the younger of the two, it looks like he seems to have decided whatever discussion they were having, and he turns to the sort of to the rest of you, and he says, hey, who here wants out of this ship? Who here wants to leave?
Hey, I think we're all in.
And you see there some of the prisoners, the other ones that are with you, they sort of raise their hands, and but some of them look pretty badly injured, but you're shackled to them.
Yeah.
And he
Just
says,
gnaw the arms off.
Yeah.
and and he says, all right, look, we've got something planned, but we're going to have to move fast when it happens.
What's the play?
He looks and says, we've got some friends that are going to meet us. And, but we're going to have to, we've got to get to the deck on our own. So, when I give you, he says, I'm going to break the log that's securing us. But we're going to be chained together, so we have to work together. And at this point, the older guy that's with him sort of pipes up. He goes, "It could be easier." And the guy sort of the younger one sort of raises his hand and cuts him off. And he says, "Any enemies of the Empire are friends of mine. We have a chance at freedom, but we have to work together. We're going to be chained together. We've got to move together. And anyone that can't keep up is going to have to be left behind."
Seems reasonable.
Not an option. I'll carry them.
And he sort of looks at you, and he kind of eyes you up and down, and he goes, "Well, that's your choice. But if you fall behind, we won't be able to come back for you."
I will make it. Sorry, I guess I should sit up a
Imagine,
little higher in my.
Just lower the angle of the camera.
Yeah.
Let's see the bottom of your lips.
Imagine while on the ship, no one's heard me speak, and people maybe even think that I'm a mute.
Okay. Oh, so you haven't said anything the entire time.
Entire time
I'll-
I've been on here.
If I'm within reach, I'll shake him like, "Did you comprehend?"
I'll give a nod.
Like Sphinx and Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, love that.
So you watch the young man. He sort of leans over, and you see him touch the side of his face. You see him touch the side of his face, and you see his right eye, sort of bulges out of his head. Like you see it sort of like kind of like almost like his eyeball is like popping out of his head.
Nice.
And you see the eye turns green. Like sort of glows sort of a brightish green. Definitely the only source of illumination in the hold where you're at. And you see him sort of focus on this log that's in front of you, and you see like sweat start to sort of pour down the side of his face. And you see like these green tendrils, looks like like his veins have sort of turned green in his face around where this eye is. And then you notice the log that's in front of you. Quickly, it begins to like rot and age, like sort of fast motion. Like it's aging super fast. Like so, you see it sort of weathers and cracks, and then begins to just age rapidly to the point where you can basically just pull your chains and it'll come out of this log. Like it's and then you see the eye that was in his head as it sort of bulging out. You see the light begin to dim in it, and then the eye sort of withers and then just sort of falls to black dust out of his head.
And this is the young man?
This is the younger guy, yeah.
Okay.
And you can see that those tendrils of green sort of remain. They've dimmed a little bit, but they're still sort of remain on his face. And he's like panting and breathing really hard. The older guy is holding on to him. And and he says, "You shouldn't have done it. You shouldn't. Why risk yourself? Why did you do this?" And the guy sort of pants and he holds his hand up and he says, "All will be revealed." At this point, the entire ship that you're on, you feel the whole thing sort of rock and sway, like there's been like sort of a collision, and then you hear the wind outside it's picked up to a howling gale, and it came on suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of hurricane level winds, just massive winds outside, and you can feel the whole ship just sort of rock.
So I'll sort of scream over the top of the wind, like, "Is this what you'd call the signal that we should get moving?"
Yeah. So the old man helps the younger guy up to his feet, and you see the young man mouth something. You can't hear what he says, but he points to the hatch. The hatch that's in the sort of a ladder that leads up to a hatch, and he nods and points to it. Tantor, you're sort of first in line to the hatch.
Oh. Crap, I didn't want to be.
Yeah, it turns out they put you in last because they're like, well, I don't know if he's gonna fit. We don't need him if he blocks the hole, we don't need him holding up the line, so we'll put him in last.
Okay.
So then I'd probably be next to him.
Yeah, you guys. So it actually goes. It's Tantor, then Spot, one of the other prisoners, and then you. But
when Tantor stands up, I sort of dangle.
Tantor stands up. Yeah, you're kind of like a charm on his bracelet.
And we're wanting to get through the hatch.
Yeah. So there's sort of and you can see so when they put you in there, you heard the thing closed, and then you heard like bolts sort of slide into place, but they're on the other side.
Okay.
And the wind at this point is really picking up. It's.
Do I?
And you can hear.
Get a sense that we want to be stealthy, or?
So you can hear above. They're sort of running and screaming coming from above. Now, or like there's screams and there's shouts coming from above.
Okay, big fella, let's open the door.
All right, I will attempt to open the door. I could do it as a creature, one time my size. I have the large thing. What is it?
Yeah, you can make. Yeah, so you can make an attack against it if you. So you've. Give me an intelligence check.
Hey. And I have disadvantage.
Really tired.
I have 9 intelligence. It's a 9.
Yeah, so you're reasonably sure of sort of, like you kind of know, like you're all okay. I saw how the door closed, like I know where the hinges are. You're reasonably sure sort of where the bolts are, like because you saw it when you came down, and you're like, and you kind of like you had nothing else to do, sort of stare at this hatch as the guards came in and out.
Can I just kind of like press myself up against it and just keep pushing?
Yeah, you can do that as well. Yeah, just sort of give it the old push and heave.
Yeah. Like I'm just acting as like a big elephant that wants to get through this object.
Right. Well, and and it turns out the sort of the panicked press of prisoner behind you would give you advantage, so you can just sort of roll regularly to get through this door, as you've got some help.
Okay.
You've got some some push behind you.
You can do it.
That's not bad. Would this be like an athletics?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a 19.
Oh yeah. So you kind of you can feel the bolts sort of give way on the other side. And then as soon as the hatch gets just a little bit above flush, it's ripped off of the hinges are completely ripped off, like it just goes whoosh. And you feel yourself sort of being sucked up out of the hatch. As soon as that thing is opened, the wind is intense up here.
Okay, can I grab onto the sides and just kind of brace myself?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, it's not like actually sucking you out, but like you can definitely feel there's a pull. Like the wind is strong enough that you're like, whoa, hey, how about that?
Oh, okay. Then I'll just then turn around as the latch gets blown open. I'll be like, turn around, go.
Yes.
Right, yeah. And so everyone is just sort of like motion, like go.
Get the hell out of here!
So are there any deadweight prisoners? Or is everyone motivated to leave?
At this point, everyone's sort of got a burst of adrenaline, and even the guys that were pretty bad off are like, "Hey, yeah, we're getting out of here." At this point, everyone is sort of on their feet and able to make their way because you're not moving super fast, able to keep up and make their way up and out the hatch.
Nice.
I will be offering encouragement and helping anyone that looks like they're struggling more
Okay.
to get out.
All right, yeah. So you were able to kind of, the people around you, kind of getting them up and like, here we go. All right, so you guys, you make your way up onto the hatch, or make your way up onto the deck, and the wind is absolutely insane. Like you've never been in wind this high. And you, so as you make your way up onto the deck, you can see the desert that you're crossing is like the dust and stuff is sort of blown up. You're about 300 feet up, and there's just a ton of dust and stuff that's being blown about by this wind.
Are we on an airship?
Oh, did I not mention that?
It is Conair.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys were probably about 300 or so feet up. You can see, you can't see super far, but it looks like you're sort of caught in the middle of what looks like a tornado. Like you're sort of in the middle of this thing, and on the deck you can see the guards are sort of running everywhere, and you can see that there's a ring of guys at one rail of the deck, and it looks like another ship has come up alongside and has sort of heaved to. And there's a ring of defenders that are sort of defending the area of the ship where they've connected, like where they've broken through the rail. And there's like sort of this ring of defenders that's defending the lines that are fastening the ship and sort of securing your exit. And once everyone's on the deck, the young man, you see him, like, he mouths something. You can't really hear what he says. You know, his words are instantly pulled away by the wind. And he gestures to the, you know, not that he needed to, like, obviously, you know, it's like the one way out, but he gestures to the ring of defenders and to the other ship. All right, I need either strength or dexterity checks from everyone to move across the deck in the wind. So either you're getting low and sort of pulling yourself, or you're finding sort of handholds and able to make your way across.
All right, and disadvantage because of.
If you have it from exhaustion, then yeah.
7.
Great.
Do I get to use athletics?
Yeah, this is either
All
this is strength athletics, not quite acrobatics as your change, but you can use dexterity if you want.
18.
Okay.
7.
7.
6.
6.
16.
16. All right, and then
I think the big boys are just keeping everyone on the chain.
yeah. So you guys, along with the older man, are able to kind of pull people along, and those of you who are not quite as strengthy are able to sort of, like, you're basically just sort of, you know, pulling yourself along using the chain that's anchored to these larger gentlemen. And so, like, the line sort of begins to, you guys sort of begin to advance against the wind. Some of the guards suddenly notice you guys have sort of come up out of the hold, and you see there's a lot of sort of shouting and pointing. You don't think the shouting is particularly effective, but the pointing seems to be. They sort of point at you guys, and you see 3 of the guards sort of they break off and come at you guys. And you see that, you know, they're sort of wielding spears. You guys are in chains. You guys have sort of you know, manacles and stuff, but that's about the only armament you have.
Are there any wood, like planks or something that are, or sticks or anything that are on the deck that could be?
Give me a perception check and see what
Question: cantrips usable or not?
Yeah, cantrips are usable.
Okay.
15 for perception.
Hey, nice.
15.
I got a 23.
Yeah. So you actually
perception.
notice sort of in the wind, you see some, like, belaying pins.
Okay.
That are about that you could probably pick up as clubs.
Yeah, I'll definitely pick up. Can I pick up something that looks sharp? I'm looking for something sharp.
You don't see anything at this point that's particularly well. I take that back. There's some spears that the guards are holding that do look particularly sharp, but nothing that seems to be available on the deck near you.
I'm allowed to use, like, my abilities and stuff, right?
You don't have any key.
I'll grab
Oh.
one of the clubs.
Yeah, I'll just grab whatever is available.
Well, so I could use an ability if it doesn't require key, right?
If it doesn't require a key, yeah, you're good to go.
I will use Wholeness of Body and regain 21 hit points.
Nice.
How very zen of you. All right. So the guards are coming towards you. Every roll initiative for me.
Ooh, 25.
Ooh, nice. Somebody's ready for a fight. 10.
One of them's probably rich.
Prop. You know how guards are.
You know, disadvantage really sucks. I got 8.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's yeah.
8.
Yep, 8.
Ryan. Ryan.
He's on mute.
Oh,
8. I thought I put
8.
microphone to computer as well. There we go.
Okay.
sure. Initiative doesn't count as an ability check, right? For the purposes of exhaustion.
Initiative is an ability check.
That's unfortunate.
Alright.
Oh, I rolled 20 twice.
Change mine to a 4.
All right.
That's so. I guess I've used up my all my crits for this session on the first initiative roll. Awesome, very good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's when you really got. That's really when you really want to use it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just trying to roll above a 10.
I run that one.
All right. Corp.
All right.
Mm.
Let's see. So, where are the guards in relation to us at the moment?
They are in front of you, and they are probably. So at this point, because you guys aren't moving very fast, like they've sort of closed the distance. They're sort of right in front of you.
Right. Okay. So they're within attack range.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So what did I find on the floor near me to use as a weapon?
It's a club basically.
Okay.
It's a belaying pin.
Right. So let's see. So, being as I am a dread ambusher, I will use that club to the best of my ability. So I'll just go ahead and
Yeah, there's no room.
try and smash the nearest guard in the face with a club.
What a cunning ambush.
I know, yeah, just dread ambush actually.
He'll never see it coming. Surprise!
So that means that makes is the first round of combat. It means I get an extra attack, and it deals an extra 1d8 of damage.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and attack him with a club.
All right.
Let's see, and then I haven't got any, and I'll put a bit of the old Terrorblade cantrip on that as well.
Put some stank on it.
Yeah. Okay, so I might. So I just need to check what it's 5th level. Yeah, okay. So he's going to take an extra 2d8 of clubbing damage.
Mm-hmm.
If I hit him, of course. Okay. It's what's my to hit modifier with a club?
Well, I think you're proficient with simple weapons, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After one simple. Yeah. So that's what just add. So that's my proficiency bonus, right? So that's a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Cool. And then how much damage does a club do? Hang on. Let's just add this to my inventory quickly, I guess.
Yeah, it's a D4.
It's a D4. Okay, cool. Okay, so he takes 3. Oh shit. Okay. 10. I hit this guy really hard. So he takes 18 damage
Yeah, so you managed to down this guard in what like you swing forward and hit him in the face.
Yeah.
I think I just
And-
found my new boss.
His face sort of explodes as you smash this belaying pin into his face, and you see the blood is sort of sucked away in the wind, but in an like sort of an unnatural fashion. Like you notice, like it doesn't behave the way you think a liquid should behave in any sort of natural wind.
Nice.
Just a little note to keep in the back of your head.
Yeah. You can only cast a cantrip. You can only cast one cantrip per turn. Is that
Correct. Oh, you also notice that your cantrips don't seem to be as effective. So when you try to cast the cantrip, like so you do it, you feel there's some resistance.
okay?
Give me a what's your casting?
Intelligence.
Go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
With disadvantage. Woo.
Yeah.
That is a 9.
You do not manage to overcome said resistance. And casting, you are the cantrip that you attempt to cast doesn't seem to go very well.
Okay. In that case, he only took so that was it was an extra 7 damage from that cantrip.
Okay, so he's not dead, but he is still very badly wounded.
Okay.
He is on his hands and knees, like he's not doing great. The blood, but still, when you smash the pin into his face and the blood sort of spurted out, you notice it. But yeah, so you don't actually manage to cast the cantrip. There's you feel there's some resistance that's pushing against you, and you're not entirely certain what that is. But when you sort of cast, when you go to cast this cantrip, you see there's a guy on the deck who hasn't taken, he's definitely in the uniform of the guards, but he is not a guard, he's not armed, and he hasn't taken up any of the fight. You see him sort of strapped into the deck, like he's sort of harnessed in. And you see him turn towards you. You see him, and he's like, his face is like beet red, and he's got sweat pouring down his face. You see him, like his eyes suddenly turn towards you, and you see him shout something, but you can't hear what he says. Give me an insight check to see if you can sort of make out what he's saying.
I cannot.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, like after he sort of looks at you and shouts, you see him go back, his eyes closed, and he's definitely focusing and concentrating on something.
Right. Okay. Well,
you also see, when you attempt to cast this, you see around you, in sort of an area of 5 or so feet around you on the ship, you see a bunch of runes light up on the ship.
Okay.
And you think that the thing when you tried to cast this, it basically got absorbed by these runes.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess with my I've used my extra attack. So now with my first regular attack, I'll try and finish this guard off.
Okay. He's sort of on his knees in front of you.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack him over the back of the head with the club.
So you would have advantage on this attack.
Have advantage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's still a 21.
Yeah, that hits.
So that is that's only one. That's 1 damage.
One whole damage?
Well, it's D4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
well,
rolled
plus your strength.
Strength is +0.
All right. All right. So you you basically. So I will allow you because that's a really shitty attack. You can use that second attack if you like to attempt to grab his spear and disarm him.
Okay. Well, I do have another attack, so maybe I'll do that on this attack.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you prod him gently with your belaying pin.
I realize I'm not very good with a club, maybe. So I'm gonna try and get something better.
Well, you're inconsistent, we'll say. That first attack was a mighty wallop, and then for some reason you're like, let's see if this does it. Poke.
Dunk. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So
RNG giveth and he taketh away.
All right. Yeah. So with my second/third attack, I'll attempt to disarm him. Or I mean, is it just a spear? Does he have any knives or anything on him? Or
you don't see any knives. Looks like he's just got sort of the standard issue spear.
Okay. Let's attack him again then.
Okay.
So I'll try and use the club to smack the spear out of his hand.
Sure.
That is a 18 to hit.
Yep, that'll do it.
Okay.
So at that point, you're able to grab the spear from him.
Cool.
You now have a spear.
Did I do any damage to him in the process?
We'll say no.
Okay.
You've severely wounded you've severely broken his face and wounded his pride.
Cool.
You now have a spear, which is a D6 one-handed or a D8 two-handed.
Okay. Cool. I think that's everything for me.
All right. Let's see. Ryan or Rob is up next. Which one of you has a higher dex?
Dex is 17.
Your dexterity is 9? Yeah, well, all right. So we're going to go ahead and say that Spot's going to go ahead and jump out ahead of you there. Really thought I'd have a T-shirt on or something.
Oh, is D&D Beyond still working for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it's slow but working.
Okay, it's just me then.
So, question: I have an at-will mage armor.
So you can attempt to cast that. So you give me I guess your intelligence.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me an intelligence. Give me an intelligence check.
Woohoo! 16.
So you're able to overcome the resistance.
Right.
So you can feel it sort of pushing against you, and you can feel sort of the runes around this ship are attempting to stop you, but you're able to sort of overcome that.
Dragon's magic is the best magic. And that's pretty much all I can do.
He says subserviently. So your action was just to protect yourself?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, it's a touch spell. It's something to touch. I can't reach anybody.
He's just all. All right, very good. Ryan. Oh, take your pick. It turns out, the guards selected for this particular duty are they're definitely not in favor with the management, but they're definitely noticed for their particular skills. No. Oh, great. Yeah, all right. Give me a yeah. So give me a strength athletic. Give me a strength athletics to break that pin. yeah, we'll say that's enough. We'll say that you're able to like, you're like, I mean, you strain a little bit. It's not quite as impressive as you would like it to be. Like you're kind of like, oh, hold on, and then pop. And you're able to sort of break it in half. All right, so you're trying to intimidate one of the guards. All right. Right. All right. So give me a intimidation check with advantage, and you may use your strength for your modifier. So strength intimidation check. Oh yeah. So this guy, one of the guards, the guard that you're sort of staying directly in front of you, he sort of takes stock of the situation at hand, where he's like, "Oh, howling winds, down guard, other ship. You know what? I don't even need this job. Like I just work here." And you see him suddenly decide that the guards that are attacking the ship need help, and he diverts his attention elsewhere.
Yeah. Seems fair.
Yeah, so he just he's like, you know what? It's fine, all right. Tantor.
All right. How many guards are coming at us?
There is one guard on the ground and one guard still in front of you. So there's one that's badly wounded and is now unarmed and like sort of kneeling on the ground, and the other guard is still standing his ground with his spear.
I'll go to that one and attempt to disarm him.
Okay, go ahead and give me an attack.
That's a disadvantage, right?
If you are at level 4 of exhaustion, yes.
Yeah. I didn't do it.
Yeah, so you sort of reach out and attempt to grab the guy's spear from him, and he sort of bats your hands aside and manages to hold on to his spear.
I'll, with my second attack, push him on the ground.
You're going to push him?
Yeah, I'll try to push him on the ground.
All right. So go ahead and give me a strength check.
All right.
Strength athletics.
That's better. So 17.
He had an 11. So yeah, you managed to just sort of shove him over. Not the most elegant of attacks.
I imagine it's just kind of like,
yeah, just gonna sort of give him.
Fine, don't give me your spear.
See, you're going for the old shove and trample.
Here's my milk money.
All right, yeah. So you sort of knock him over backwards. He sort of sprawls on the ground on the deck of the ship.
Can I put a foot on him?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You definitely can. You definitely can.
Well, I'm just wanting to subdue him. I'm not wanting to kill him.
Oh, okay.
Do I feel that with the rockiness of the boat and the ship, that if I put a foot on him, I could risk squishing him?
Yeah, you definitely could. If
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that.
Something shifted, your balance went off. Yeah, you could go up and push and squish. You're like, oh god, like a jelly donut. Everything came out. Gross.
Yeah, I won't do that. So I pushed him down, and I guess then just kind of make put myself in between him and the rest of the prisoners.
Okay.
And that'll be my turn.
Okay. All right. So the old man now is going to he is going to try to smash the down guard. He does not succeed. Actually, he does not succeed. So now with both guards on the ground, the younger man, you see him just sort of wave everybody forward. Saying, "All right, let's move as a group. Here we go." So as he does this, you notice that the wind now has died down significantly, but you can no longer see anything beyond the sort of the swirling wall of wind that is around the two ships. Kinda. You're sort of in the middle of the thing. There's still some wind, but like it's noticeably calmer where you're at. The guy that you saw that was on the deck of the ship that was focusing is now you see like the guy doesn't look well. Like he is sweating profusely, and you can see his face is purple. All right. So you guys are all going to sort of move as one, as you were. We can't hear you, Ryan. Oh, okay. So you guys all sort of move as one. You sort of move together in the chain gang. You notice at this point that two of the other prisoners that you are with are significantly flagging and are sort of keeping you guys from moving on.
I'll grab one.
All right.
I can grab one. Does the guy weigh 70 pounds or less?
No.
Oh, I was gonna grab him with just my trunk.
Yeah, no, he's not a labradoodle. So
I'll take the trunk.
I mean, if
Sure, I have
you got
a
trunk
spot
space.
in my trunk.
All right, so give me both of you, anyone who is picking somebody up, give me a strength athletics check. 15?
Nice.
Yeah, so you're okay.
11.
Ooh, might have to drop spot.
You couldn't do this yourself, Spot.
Can I help hang on to his trunk?
You see him flagging a little. You see Tantor's pretty tired. All right. This is going to be a higher bar. Go ahead and roll strength athletics again. Don't think you can do two. Two is two.
Can we both carry him?
So you guys aren't, the way the chains are situated, you guys are too far separated to carry him at the same time.
Yeah. Don't worry about me, guys. I'll just mage hand myself.
Ride around on a little hand.
So yeah, it looks like so Tantor sort of flagging. It looks like you're not able to carry this other guy.
Can I drag him?
You think so you could drag him, but you're going to be going slow. And
so I see them kind of fumbling with this.
Yeah,
guy.
you see him kind of struggling to make this happen.
Can I just?
I imagine this is like a great big fat guy.
Oh yeah, no, this is what did they call the guy in the Shawshank Redemption? Fat ass. Fat ass by a nose.
And we're chained together by our hands.
And feet.
and feet.
Yep.
So it would take some time to kind of
Oh
disconnect
man.
this guy from us.
Yeah,
Well,
rip
if
me
you
in
tried
half.
to do it by disconnecting the shackles, yes.
Oh, I just mean like in the quickest way possible.
Oh. If you wanted to do it in
I
like
do his
a
Tantor.
really quick fashion, because you have that, you have the spear now.
Yeah.
You think you could probably do it pretty quick.
Yeah, I just go ahead and kill him and break him off the chains.
Okay.
I'm not okay with this.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, yeah, Cord just goes, well, yeah, slow it down, blat, and just sort of runs the guy through with the spear.
Yeah.
He is now. He's now, and you see again when you pull the spear out, the blood is sort of sucked away in the wind.
Interesting.
And the guy is now literally dead weight.
Yeah. So I guess
I
I'd kind of
hate that
stab
I
him.
have no key.
Yeah, and then just. So I guess I'd sort of stab him and then just start smashing away with like the club and the spear, just trying to break his hands and feet off.
Yeah. So yeah, you I mean, definitely between the two, you're able to do this pretty quick. I mean, if that guy can do it in 127 hours, you can definitely do it. You are significantly motivated, and you have both hands.
Yep.
I am making angry elephant noises.
Is that elephant thank you? You're welcome.
Yeah, so you managed to break him free. There's now just a bloody set of empty shackles and manacles hanging in the line, and there's a Stumpy's just sort of laying on the deck back there.
Spot's disappointed that we're not bringing this.
You still have the one guy over your shoulder.
I'll
Hey,
sort of
Matt,
look,
you know that I won't forget this.
I'm going to kind of look.
Because I'm an elephant.
I'm going to look disapprovingly at Sir Kipsith and just sort of. He probably can't hear me, but I'm just saying, the weak must be left to die. And then
I disagree with this. I disagree with that.
Spot's like, well, that's a special circumstance, right? I mean, this is I don't think we should adopt this as an official policy.
Yeah, I mean, hashtag not all weaklings.
Yeah. Prefer to think of myself as a power bottom rather than. Yes. Yeah. So if you're exhaustion, if you have disadvantage on ability checks, that is an ability check. So unless you have advantage,
sucks so much.
Unless you have advantage to negate the disadvantage, you roll disadvantage. Okay. So the chain gang is a little bit lighter now. You guys are able to sort of move move across the deck, but of course, everyone's sort of exhausted. You guys are moving at not at peak performance.
If we have the time, I'm going to cast Mage Hands twice and have my Mage Hands help carry / push me.
Yeah, good. So yeah, you've got these little dragon claws, little ethereal dragon claws behind you.
One under my butt and one like grabbing me around my back and under my arms.
Right. Yeah. Like, kind of giving you the bum's rush kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're being helped along, a little lighter with the mage hand.
They're currently stronger and faster than I am.
Good. So you're sort of moving along. You get to you guys finally get to the ring of defenders. As you approach the ring of defenders, you see the guy that was focusing, that sort of sweating and purple face. You see him sag a little bit. When this happens, the entire ship sort of rocks. I need everybody give me either a strength or a dexterity check.
Check or saving throw?
Sorry, saving throw. This is a saving throw. Either a strength or a dexterity saving throw to stay upright.
Disadvantages on saving throws.
Mage Hands are carrying me. Does that count?
You can use Arcana. Or sorry, you can use Intelligence. Then you can use Intelligence.
God damn
Dex
you,
is actually better.
disadvantage. Oh, hang on. Do we have disadvantage on saving throws?
Yes, if you have a 3 or higher.
If you have a 3 or higher in Exhaustion.
I only have a 1, so that's.
Oh yeah, you're fine. You
good
have
for
them
you.
you have them on ability checks.
Yeah, so 14.
I have them on everything.
7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. 5 for Tantor. God, you better hope you don't get squished, Spot. All right.
Dexterity save coming up.
How'd Kipsith do?
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Oh.
then 9.
So that's a 7.
16.
Still not that great.
Yeah.
Right, not that great. Yeah. All right. So, so Spot and Tantor are out. Well, what did Kipsith get? 15. Yeah. So, Core and Kipsith doing all right. Spot and Tantor are having a rough time at that end of the line. Ship rocking around a little bit. So yeah, you guys stumble. Luckily, you're all chained together. You guys stumble and you slide across the deck a little bit. The chain sort of snapped taut. Tantor, that's a lot of weight. The rest of the line kind of stumbles a little bit. But you guys don't fall off the ship. But you do. But you are sort of prone and have slid across the ship. You see some of the guards. Oh, they actually did okay. You see the guards. Well, they're well rested and everything. So. You see the guards, they stumble, some of them sort of stumble as the ship sort of lurches and tilts sideways. At this point, the older man and the young guy are sort of staring at the guy who is now sort of sagging against his harnesses on the deck, and you see their eyes go wide, like real big. And you hear from sort of up in the sort of the mast and rigging area of this ship, you see there's this big, it looks like glass, but you can see the glass sort of waver and shift so that you're like, I don't think that's actually glass. And inside of it, you can see what looks like sort of this miniature kind of cyclone. And you can see the glass is now starting to sort of bulge and move and flex in ways that you don't think it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it does, the ship sort of rocks beneath you, and you're like, oh.
2 + 2 equals get the hell off the ship. Yeah.
Right. And so you see now a lot of the guards have also sort of made this same connection. And what turned into sort of a fight with the sort of ring of defenders, that ring is now basically it's turned into crowd control, right? It is now sort of riot, like crowd control. So you guys are going to have to fight your way through this press of guards that's trying to hijack your ride at this point. Matt, Core, let's so go ahead and attack. You have advantage now as you are looking at the back of these guards.
Yeah. Cool.
And you are wielding a spear.
I'm wielding a spear. I'll try again with the Terrorblade cantrip.
Okay, give me a check with your whatever you use to cast. Give me a check with that.
Well, I only got a 12 to hit. Does that hit?
The 12 does not hit.
Okay, so the cantrip doesn't matter then.
Doesn't matter anyway. Yeah. So yeah, you don't. It doesn't hit. Attack doesn't hit.
Yeah. So second attack.
Second attack.
Go
with advantage from behind.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't hit again.
You need to stop borrowing Skippy's dice.
Well, like I say, I used up all my 20s already. Now I rolled like a 4 and a 1. That's
Maybe the spear isn't your weapon. Maybe that's
Maybe.
that's the problem. Yeah, just not
I'd
super
be more
good.
fun. If I'd thrown it, I'd been okay. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll just try and having like stabby, not so great. I guess I'll just try and like, just start shoving through with whatever movement I have, I suppose.
just trying to sort of like power your way through. All right. Let's see. Spot.
Well, Spot is going to go ahead and tap the big paladin on his back and give him some guidance.
Okay. Give me a check. Give me a check to overcome this whatever anti-magic whatever this is.
That would be a hell no.
So that guidance does not happen. So you attempt to give guidance, but you see those runes flare out around you on the ship, and when it does, you feel the ship sort of rock again beneath you, and at this point, the wind is starting to pick up again as the ship you're on is starting to list rather badly, and you see the ring of defenders they're gesturing to you madly as they're sort of trying to push back and make a hole for you guys. All right, Kipsith. Right? You have advantage, yeah, because you're going from behind. From behind.
This is so Skippy's event.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, that hits. Give him the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That does open a nice hole.
Nice.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Nice.
Hits. Okay. Yes, you punched. Yeah, so you punched the other guy. So yeah, so you guys see right where Kip's at, that sort of in the middle of the line. You see there's now sort of a hole that's opened up, and you see that the ring of defenders sort of capitalize on this when they see you sort of like knock this guy aside, and sort of a hole opens up. You see him capitalize on that, and they try to wedge in and push, make a wider opening.
Nice.
Okay. Tantor. Mighty Tantor.
Can I grab Spot and just try to like push my way through, like just football it all the way through there?
Are you trying to use Spot as like a pry tool, or
I would be trying to like cover him, and like if I get hit, it's okay.
Oh yeah, you can pick Spot up pretty easy. So Spot is
18 pounds.
What do you weigh? 15?
18.
18. Wow, a little chubby. Yeah, you can. So you actually, I don't know if you would actually notice him.
I weigh less than the chain, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't know if you would actually notice if you just moved. I don't know if you would notice him. So yeah, you can easily like trunk him or sort of football him or whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, so I'll like be kind of cradling him and like protecting him like I would like if there was like a baby in my arms.
Right.
And then just try to push my way through and kind of clear as much distance as possible. And if I'm pulling other people with me with the chains, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, yeah. So give me a strength athletics check. But since there's a hole open, you would have advantage on your sort of the push. So you have it.
Okay.
You would have advantage. So just roll regularly.
Regular.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. teeth.
Yeah, so you're able to sort of like, I was going to say bull your way through, but elephant your way through this hole in the thing. And yeah, you manage to sort of like stampede through and kind of start pulling people along with you. As you're coming through, you can see some of the defenders like they free a hand and they grab the chain and they're just sort of pulling to try to get you guys through this hole.
And did any of the guards get like opportunity attack on me or anything?
The guards, so technically they could, but they are no longer focused. You can see they are looking over their shoulder and they see the guy just sort of sagging in the harness and there's like blood coming from his eyes and his nose. And that blood is being sucked away by the wind. And he is beginning to take on sort of a withered appearance. They are no longer focused on whether or not you are a prisoner or whatnot. All of you are trapped on this boat as far as they're concerned, and they're trying to get the hell off. So as you guys sort of push your way past the ring, and you shove your way up onto the boat, the old man and the prince are pulled through, and you see the ring of defenders sort of close, and they start pushing off, and everyone starts backing away. You see some of the guards are like trying to leap across onto the other ship, and they are batted away. The lines are cut. The mooring lines are cut. And the airship that you have now made your way onto, which is significantly nicer, by the way, than the prison ship we're on. It sort of pulls away, and you can see that the wind, the sort of this tornado that you're in, you can see it part. And so, I mean, by virtue of all the dust and stuff that's been sucked up into it, you can see sort of like basically a hole is sort of made, and this ship sort of moves out. The other ship, now full of terrified and screaming guards, you see it sort of disappear behind you as the sort of wall closes. Your ship moves out, and now that you're sort of clear of this cyclone, you can see the desert sort of stretch out beneath you. It's hot, and miles and miles of the sea of sand, and you turn around and you see this massive cyclone that reaches all the way from the desert floor, sort of 300 feet up. This thing is absolutely gargantuan, like it is huge. And as you're watching it, and you're watching this thing spin, and you suddenly see the ship crush. Well, you don't see the ship crush, but you suddenly see like splinters of wood, and what is unmistakably sort of blood, cyclone around. You see a face form in the cyclone, like this massive face form in the cyclone, and the wind, now that you're sort of away from it, you can hear, it's not just the howling of wind, it's sort of a roar, like not of something that has sentience, like it's something that something alive is the sound that you're hearing. And you see this massive elemental titan.
Nice.
And you and you see it sort of swirl. You see the wind sort of swirl around, and eventually you see the wind sort of dissipate, and you see just the wreckage of the ship sort of fall, but you don't see any bodies.
Nice.
Fall to the ground. And so now you guys are on this on the ship that has rescued you. And you see that now the young man and the older man, there's several men and women have rushed around them and are sort of tending to the younger man.
Wow. Good work. Good escape. What's the next plan? Where are we going?
I shoved Core on the ground.
Hey,
Just push him.
what's your problem? We made it out.
I'm going to try prestidigitation and grease up my shackle and see if I can pop myself out.
All right, yeah. So everybody, you guys are like have this kerfuffle, and like Spot's just, oh well, I gotta find myself a corner and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Give me. So when you guys sort of pull to shove him on the ground, it pulls the chains, and the sort of the younger man and this older man sort of get pulled.
Yeah. I'll stop and I'll be like,
Oh, sorry.
And you see several of the men around like suddenly turn very hard eyes towards you. As the with the young man, and you see the older man sort of, he steps up and he goes, I think there's been enough death for one day. What do you say we get the chains off, we get fed, and we get some rest, and then we can handle any disagreements that we've had?
Yes, I agree.
Let's
This one agrees.
And he says, peace.
Tantor will nod.
He says, peace, peace. Let cooler heads prevail now. No one's going anywhere. He just sort of gestures out at the expanse of desert and the fact that you're 300 feet up. And he saw, no one's going anywhere. We're going to be traveling for several days. I ask you, as guests, to please honor my request.
Tantor will nod and speak for the first time in front of the group and say, my apologies.
So at this, everyone kind of, what the heck? Huh? The older man sort of looks at you and he goes, huh? I didn't know you could speak. Huh? But I ask you, as guests, to please be peaceful. If
Well,
you
I've got no problem with anyone here.
And he says, if you cannot honor this request, I'll have to ask you to leave. He says, fine, release the chain.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to hurt yourself, Kipsy.
All right, so Spot, so you sort of grease up the shackle. So you notice when you try to do the prestidigitation, so you can see in the rigging of this ship, there's that same sort of glass ball thing. But you notice that there's no resistance when you try to cast the cantrip. There's none of that. Like, you cast it, there's no runes. There's no resistance at all.
Excellent.
So yeah, you go ahead and grease up the shackles. Give me we'll say this is a sleight of hand check.
Sleight of hand. Ooh, I'm good at
Literally,
Yeah.
sleight of hand.
that. Still at disadvantage. Damn it. That really doesn't work. I'm just too tired.
Right. Yeah. So the man says, "Come with us." He says, "Follow us. The shipwright should be able to break these off."
Well, we're much obliged. Thank you for your help.
He says, of course. He says, he's all, call me Sereth.
Sarah?
And he looks down at you and he says, It's Sereth, worm.
You realize the TH sound is really hard to make with teeth like these.
You're like, I got a snout, man. I'm doing the best I can. And he says, and this is print. And then the guy says, he holds up his hand. And he says, please call me Jareth. No, Sereth. Jareth.
Sereth and Jareth.
And you see at this, the old man is kind of scandalized. Like he kind of looks at this and he's like, and the younger guy just sort of holds his hand up again, and he says, thank you for your cooperation. I could not have done that without you.
One is always happy to please.
Did I? Did I pick up on the hint that he might actually be a member of the nobility then?
So give me an insight check.
12.
Yeah, so you catch the old man slip, but looking around at sort of the group, like you don't see any uniforms. You don't see anything that would sort of like, there's no trappings of nobility here. Like there's no, like you're looking around, you're like, well, I mean, the guy kind of like a title, but you're looking, I mean, definitely looking at the guy, he's in rags like you, and looking around the ship is nice, but it's not ornate. It's more functional than anything. And nobody is dressed in like finery or, everybody looks like just sort of a dock worker or something. You're not seeing a uniform and you're like,
okay.
Does this old man just have some weird fantasy? Like, what exactly is happening here? And so so they lead you down, and he says, all in good time. The older man says, all in good time. Of course we're going to eat. So, but it's going to be difficult to eat with these shackles on. Let's head down and get this taken care of. So you head down. Sort of leads you down towards the bottom of the ship, and you. You guys are kind of shuffling down. Like everybody's sort of shuffling down. You get down to the you kind of go down a level or two in the ship, and you sort of move towards the back. And you move into what is unmistakably definitely a workshop, like a small sort of smith, like sort of a smithy has been set up in this area of the ship. And you walk in and you see you see this sort of broad, hairy back and head, and there's like horns coming out. With a creature with his back to the door, guy stripped to the waist, and you see he's wearing sort of this. You see he has you can definitely see sort of a leather apron tied onto him. But he's stripped to the waist, and you can see hooves at the bottom. As you enter, Sereth calls to the man, and he says, "Vox," and you see this large, minotaur sort of turn around, and he's got a large hammer in one hand, and he's holding some piece of metal and some glowing piece of metal in tongs, and he turns around and he says, "Sereth," and he says, "Hey, Sereth, Jareth, please come over," and he motions over and he says, "My God, what have they done to you? Quickly, to the anvil, to the anvil." And most of you guys all sort of shuffle over, and he sets the chains down. He says, "First, let's break these chains, and then we'll worry about the shackles. And sort of one by one,
nudge Tantor with his little elbow, nudge, nudge. Point to Boss and say, "He's got nice horns."
just always looking to like, just slide a compliment in. And so one by one, he brings you guys over, and he puts the chain down across the horn of the anvil, and you see it, lifts up this massive hammer and just boom, brings it down, just shatters the links in the chain in a few places, and then he just starts pulling the chain through the loop and all of your shackles, and in sort of no time, you guys are now separated with just the manacles and the shackles on.
This one thanks you.
And Vox looks down at you, looks way down at you, and he says, "Of course. What's your name?"
They call me Spots.
Spots. Well, I've heard. Forgive me if I'm being presumptuous, but I've heard your kind are rather handy in a shop. Very nimble fingers. Is this true?
It can be. I am very good with my hands.
Yeah, you're like, whatever you want.
Oh, giant minotaur.
and he said, and he looks.
I'm
and says,
excellent at polishing.
He looks and he says, well, maybe after you're fed and rested, you can maybe give me a hand. We've got a few days, and if you'd like to tinker in the shop here, you of course would be welcome.
This one lives to please.
At this, Seraph sort of goes, and he kind of holds up his hand and kind of, and Vox, of course, please, come over here, over to the workbench. And you see him, he reaches up into this locked cabinet. He reaches up and he places his it's more like that. Kind of places his hand on this cabinet. You see this plate glow around his hand, and then the cabinet sort of slowly just like it pops open a little bit, and he opens it up and he pulls out this tool. He closes up the cabinet, and you see him. He touches this tool to the lock on each of your manacles. And when it does, the tool, there's sort of this like whirring sound that comes from the tool. There's this small glow, and the manacle sort of gets warm, like not uncomfortably hot, but it gets warm and then pops open.
Oh, he's got a screwdriver.
And he goes over and he sort of does it to, unlocks the shackles. He does the young man first and the older man, and then the rest of you. No, he's so the chains that were there it was all one chain that connected all of you. You asked him to leave the shackles on. So they're pretty tight on you and on Tantor, as you guys are larger than the average size. So it's definitely tight. Like it's uncomfortably tight. And so he asks you. He says, well, if a reminder is what you need, he says, I could probably fashion you something that would be a little more comfortable. He says, and you see him sort of look up, and when he looks up, sort of leans up, you see his horns like scratch the top. You can see like two well-worn grooves at the top, like over the workbench, where you're like, oh, this is his thinking. Like this guy works, and you can see like this is his thinking thing. And he says to you, he says, let me think. He says, is she? Yes, I believe I believe Thalia came with us. If you'd like, Thalia could give you a mark on your skin if it's something that you would like to remember.
Mm.
She's quite good. She's quite good. I think the work she would give you would be very pleasing. But first, and then the old man kind of, of course, all of you, he says, all of you, be welcome. You are free of the empire and of captivity. Please head to the mess hall, get something to eat, and then rest. And he looks at you, Spot, and he says, I'll be seeing you again, my friend.
Of course. Spot will bow and pretty much be all subservient and stuff on his way out, groveling and like, my pleasure.
Are there any weapons kind of on display in here, or is it just a workshop?
Just a workshop in here. Yeah. So they lead you. So again, so now you guys are sort of you're no longer shackled together. Seraph says, please follow me. And he leads you to the mess hall. And as when you walk in, you can see there's somebody tall sort of behind the counter. Like you can see like where the kitchen area is separated from where the seating area is. And you can see there's somebody back there that is large, but they're definitely kind of hunched. But you see as they're working, sort of this impossibly long arm, like reach over and grab something off a shelf, like this clawed hand, and you can see the skin is sort of this mottled, sort of blue and green and purple on the arm, and you see this just from where the guy's standing, like you can see his head, like you see this arm like reach over, we're talking like a 10-foot span. Like sort of like reaches over and grabs something, and then and like pulls it back, and he's like, you see there's spices and stuff sort of going everywhere.
Is it a troll?
Do you see any body hair? No, you don't. It looks the skin looks. It's not. No, but
is it a troll?
Give me a nature check.
I was going to say, because, the bosses eat trolls because they regenerate and it's infinite food. Ooh. Still at the disadvantage?
Pretty tired.
So that would be a 4 as well.
All right.
14.
I got a 13
with
with my -1 and my disadvantage.
Good.
So Core and Tantor, you guys, you're pretty sure, like, given the skin tone that you just saw and the long arms, you think that's probably a troll.
Wow.
Back there, rocking the chef's hat and cooking stuff up.
You'd think with all the giants around here, they'd have put some higher ceilings in.
Antor ignores Core and proceeds.
Technically, there's enough room for the head. It's just not the horns.
Right.
And so, and then you see as the troll is back there cooking. You notice as you're walking by, and as you see him sort of reach for a spice, and you see him like he's moving stuff on the shelves. The sound of chopping never stops.
Interesting.
And so Jareth walks over and he goes, "Cookie!" And you see, the chopping stops, and you see this figure. You see the form sort of straighten a little bit, not to its full height, and then it turns around, and indeed it is a troll, sort of the long face, kind of dick nose, and you can see that it indeed has 4 arms.
Huh.
It has, sort of two very long, long arms, and then the two below it look closer to like what you would say like human, sort of normal size. And you see the
Guado thing.
Yeah.
And you see the troll give this, huge sort of, jagged, crooked tooth smile, and he goes, and he says, Jared, I'm so glad to see you. And you can kind of barely understand him. Like, you can tell that common is not his first. But he does seem genuinely happy. It's a little horrifying when you first see it. You're like, Jesus. And you're like, oh, that's a smile. And he says, I make something special for you. And Jareth, clasps hands with him, and you see, he reaches out a hand, and the troll sort of clasps hands, and then another hand, and then a second hand, and then a third hand. And Jareth kind of laughs. He says, "Of course, Cookie. Thank you. That would be most welcome. We have some guests aboard. They helped me escape." And at this, the cook sort of comes out from behind the counter and says, and he comes at you guys with his hands, all of his hands sort of outstretched.
Spot will make a sound that is remarkably like that of a steam pipe just bursting, and will back up behind Tantor.
And so as you sort of back up, he sort of grabs all of you in, like as many of you as he can, in sort of the biggest hug that he can. And he goes, you said, you friend. And he's like, trying to like hug and squeeze all of you as much as he can. And the older man, Seraph, he sort of, all right. Get back behind the counter, Cookie. People are hungry. And you see there's like a tear coming out of the troll's eye, and he goes, "Oh, so happy! Just save!" And you see, and he's just sort of mumbling and sobbing incoherently, but you see him sort of go back behind the counter. And Jareth kind of, he turns around and kind of looks, and he goes, "He's a really good cook." He gets a little emotional sometimes, but a really good cook.
Right. Clearly takes pride in his work.
That he does, and he's very efficient. And you hear Seraph kind of grunt, you could tell he's probably not the troll's biggest fan, But yeah, so Cookie's back there, and you hear him now. He's sort of like, sort of humming / singing to himself, and sort of this off tune sort of thing, but clearly very happy and working very enthusiastically. And you see him sort of like pulling ingredients out, and soon the galley is filled with just some amazing smells. Cooking. You hear meat sizzling. He's, sounds like he's got a soup going. You can now sort of smell the smell of bread, kind of baking, and Jareth. Jareth sort of goes. He says, "Oh, he's preparing quite a welcome feast for us, it seems." And he says, "Please, everyone be seated at these. There's sort of these long bench tables." And he says, "So, tell me a little bit about yourselves. What caused you to run afoul of the Empire?"
I imagine Tantor, like everyone's already seated at the bench, and Tantor goes to sit at the end of the bench, and then it just kind of goes, and people go,
I see this, and I'll sit on the other end.
Right? Yeah. So everybody kind of like just shuffles themselves back.
Bench, like,
poor bench.
Fox is a great craftsman. I assume he made this.
He says, Of course. I wouldn't worry about the weight requirement, but make sure you two sort of balance each other out as we move forward here. I'll tell Vox that more mounting is needed.
Make sure you translate that correctly.
Hi-yo.
I will not sit next to Kipsith.
Oh, you're gonna sit on the other side, down the way. Yeah.
You closer to Tantor?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I might get the feeling that you hate me, but at least you haven't been too outwardly aggressive yet.
Just throwing the constant stink eye your way.
Yeah.
Just all side
More or less.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Tantor is more or less trying to ignore him now.
Well,
Bob will respond and say, racial profilings and religious persecution.
And he nods and says, "Yes. Unfortunately, common tales. The oppression of the Empire, for all of its wonders, does not outweigh the good it has done."
Creatures should
Yes,
be
the
free to
Empire.
make their own choices, live as they please,
He says,
as long as
"Yeah."
they don't harm anyone else.
exactly.
You're almost right.
You're almost right. What'd you say? I meant you're absolutely right.
You're absolutely correct, sir. Yes,
Tantor will say in a deep voice, hope is knowing that there is light despite all the darkness.
Darkness is good.
very deep.
And he says, "Good." He says, "I see. Like many before you who have been wronged by the Empire, you seek a better life and a better way for people to live. Yes."
This is the way.
You could say I'm devoted to it.
And he says, "Good. Well, after we've eaten and rested, we can talk of the future, and perhaps you joining our cause." At this, the older man kind of, and again, the younger man sort of raises a hand.
What cause is it that brought you to where you are?
And he says, "Well, I think that's a discussion for another time. For now," and at this point, Cookie is coming out. He goes, "Food, everybody is so good," and he's laying out. And you see he sets down like this massive sort of cauldron of soup. He sort of sets it down. He passes out bowls super quick, and he brings this big plate of sort of this sliced meat, and everything smells wonderful. Looks great. Looks like it's cooked to perfection. This troll's not super good on the talkie-talk, but this guy's great in the kitchen. He sets down sort of this basket of bread, like these crusty loaves, just out of the oven. The smell of fresh baked bread
Nice.
is sort of instant.
Food.
Yeah, and then all of the all the sides and sauces and everything. He's quickly sort of sets the table, and Jareth says, "Please, everyone, we don't stand on ceremony at this table. Let's eat."
Thank you, Jared.
And and everybody starts grabbing grabbing food to your thing,
Yep.
dishing up, ladling things.
I will grab my food and eat on the
18.
floor like I'm supposed to.
So at this, so Jareth sort of sees you down and he says, "Spot, you are a guest here and welcome at this table, please." And he sort of
He's at the table. Scoot under the table.
So he picks your plate up and he sets it up on the table, and he kind of picks you up and sits you right next to him, and he says, please, my friend, you will eat at this table as an equal with the rest of us.
Okay, this one will do as you ask. This one will do. Yes, thank you.
And okay. Then he sort of nods. He just sort of nods and okay. And yeah, everybody eats. You see some of the people from up the deck sort of rotate in. They fill in the other tables that are in this galley. And they're all grabbing something to eat. And everybody sort of universally has a friendly word to say to Cookie. Like nobody, you don't see any sort of animosity there. Like everybody that sees him, and he has sort of a wave, and he seems to, as it's sometimes a little unintelligible, but he seems to either know everyone's name or have a name for everyone that comes in.
When Spot is done with his food, he's going to scramble on over to speak with Cookie.
Okay.
Oh, masterful chef, do you happen to have a remedy for someone who has chest congestion or a cough?
And he looks down at you and he goes, tea, it's good tea.
Is he gonna make him have tea?
Well, actually, the plan is to go and give it to Sereth because Sereth keeps coughing and clearing his throat, so something must be wrong.
And so yeah, he like you see him. He reaches up. He reaches into it. There's a few jars and barrel stuff that he has, and you see there's a few ingredients that he brings out. Like there's sort of these there's a few like seed pods and and you see him just sort of crush them with his hands, like just like that, and just sort of grind them in his hand. And stuff falls into this this cup of water, this steaming water that he has, and he goes, "Let's steep," and he pulls out sort of this small net scoop thing, and stuff sort of like steeping in there, and he sort of scoops out as much of the stuff as he can, and he sort of hands you the mug, and he goes, "Hot, careful."
And the entire time, Spot's been going along the lines of, "Oh, Cookie has the strongest hands and almost dexterous fingers. That's delicious. Excellent job."
And so
compliments.
So every time you compliment him, he just laughs, and like with one of his hands, he just kind of pats you on the head. And then he hands you, like, he goes, "Careful," and he kind of hands it to you by the handle.
Okay, and then
And the smell coming off of this is really pungent. The smell
Excellent.
coming off this tea. It doesn't necessarily smell bad, but it's very strong.
Excellent. I will take it over to Sereth, put it on the table next to him. He says, "For your coughings."
So at this, both Sereth and Jareth look down at the cup for they give it like a 5 Mississippi. You see Sereth sort of frown, and Jareth's head, his head just the biggest belly laugh you've ever heard out of somebody. Like his head just sort of goes back, and he thinks this is hilarious. and you see Seraph sort of like grimace. He's gonna mumble something to himself, and Jareth goes, "Oh, clearly you need it's noticed that you need a lozenge. Oh, please drink up, And he and you see him grab the tea, and he kind of he sips it, kind of Jareth thinks this is hilarious. Like he thinks this is absolutely.
This one is
hilarious.
pleased to be of service. And then start using cantrip to clean the floor.
Oh, just to kind of mop up as you.
Yep.
All right. So so the meal kind of goes on. Does anybody you guys talk about stuff? Any discussions? Anything? Any questions? Anything go back and forth?
Asking about sleeping quarters.
And towards the end of the meal, everyone's looking obviously a little bit, a little drowsy. People are looking a little, little peaked. And Sarah stands up and he says, "Of course, of course, we could all use, many nights of good sleep. Come. And he sort of, everyone sort of finishes up eating. People grab like a last little bit of bread or something, and, kind of dip it or take it with them, whatever. Cookies, bye! Thank you for eating. Thank you for Joe. Thank you.
Thank you for dinner, Cookie.
And
Thank you, Cookie.
Cookie's waving all four hands. Like just.
I'll ask Jareth. Say, is there somewhere quiet on the ship I can just be away from others?
And he says, of course. Your kind prefer the dark, yes?
We just prefer. I prefer the natural solitude of nature to the hustle and bustle of other people.
So when you say this, you see this. There's an odd look and sort of a smile that comes over Jareth's face when you say this, and he kind of nods at you and he says, "Of course." So they lead you. They lead everybody up to sort of like where the crew quarters are, and you see there's like bunks and hammocks sort of strung about, and he says, "Pick anyone you like. The ship has the ship. They deliberately brought less crew than the ship can hold, knowing that we would take on extras. So please pick a bed. It will be yours for the duration of this journey." And you see everyone, and even Jareth and Seraph, like they also pick beds. And they sort of the same beds. Obviously, they're wherever Jareth has picked a bed, Sarah picks one like right above him, and sort of the bunk.
I'll make sure I pick a bottom bunk.
Right. And so you see though that the bunks are large, like they're sized, like they're not sort of just 6 foot sort of human
Right.
size. Like
Yeah. I just don't want to take the risk of being top bunk.
Right.
And,
right.
Doing like a Step Brothers thing or something.
Right. Oh, and
we just become best friends.
I assume the whole hammock thing for you was right out. Like you're all mad. I'm not gonna do that. I don't see the point in tempting fate.
Yep.
I'm going to find a nice, quiet, and darkest corner possible and curl up in a ball there.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
And so Jareth says, "Coral, come with me. I think we could find something that might be a little more relaxing for you."
Much obliged. Thank
you. And so he walks with you, and of course, Seraph is sort of right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And they walk. They're walking towards the. You're sort of in the hold of the ship, and you're walking towards the front of the ship. And again, sort of, Seraph kind of, and Jareth comes around and says, "Is that cough still bothering you?" and you hear kind of more mumbling sort of behind you, and Jareth turns to you and he says, I too understand the need to be near the elements and in nature. I understand that one who is not used to the trappings of civilization or other people, it can be very wearing at times, especially in the conditions we've had to endure for the past week."
Indeed.
He says, "Please follow me." And you come to there's a room. You come to a room, or you come to a door, and this door is different than any of the other ones you've seen on the ship. It has no handle. There's no doorknob or anything on it. Jareth reaches out with his hand, and the door looks to be made of stone.
Right.
And he reaches his hand out and touches touches the stone door, and there's no like flash of light. There's no anything, but the door just sort of silently and looks to be weightlessly sort of swings inward.
An impressive trick.
And you step in, and inside this room, you see it's sand on the floor. The floor is it's all sand, and it's open on the sides. Like there's huge gaps, and it's open to the sky. Like there's sort of wind, sort of like blowing in.
Ah, much better.
And it is like, and it's and he says, I don't know what natural environment is most soothing to you. He says, but this, as we desert dwellers prefer, this is what suits us. And it's just, and like the wind that's coming in is, it's not, because you're up, fairly high. The wind that's coming in is a little bit cooler than sort of the what you would expect in the desert. It's still warm, but not like scorching. Doesn't feel like you opened up a blast furnace or anything. And you see like the sand sort of swirls, little eddies and swirls as the wind sort of blows in, but it's not like dusty or anything like that.
Oh, this is much better. Thank you for understanding.
He says, "Of course." And
I have just one question. You're clearly a man of power and influence here.
And he says, "That is something I'm trying to change." And you hear sort of a grunt and a laugh, like a grunt and kind of a chuckle from the older man.
So do you believe wealth makes people strong or weak?
And he looks at you, and he sort of and he gives you a hard sort of penetrating look. And he says,
"You're in the front."
And he says, "I believe that wealth corrupts those that it touches."
So I'll just smile, big broad smile, and nod. Say, thank you for your hospitality. I feel very comfortable here, and I'll go and sort of sit down and sort of make a meditation.
Yeah.
What?
And so and you see he walks over to the door, the stone door which is swung shut, and he places his hand on it again, and he says, you will be allowed to leave and enter whenever you wish, but you get the distinct impression he's not talking to you.
Right. Yeah.
And the door sort of again sort of swings open, and he leaves, and the door swings shut.
Cool. So I'm alone in here now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll begin to meditate.
Sure. Okay. Are the rest of you catching some sleep?
Oh, heck yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So we'll just sort of montage the journey here. If there's anything anybody wanted to say, like we can do those conversations, little vignettes as we go. But basically, you guys travel over the desert, and you can see sort of the desert. You guys are well rested. You guys get long rest, several days. You no longer have any exhaustion.
Yay!
You are well rested. Hit points back up at full.
Woohoo!
The food is excellent. Cookie. Obviously, it's not sort of the feast that he prepared the first night, but the food, if somewhat sort of we'll say, sort of plain fare, but it is well spiced. It's nothing extravagant, but everything that he makes is the best version of that.
Mhm.
And the crew mostly keep to themselves. They don't necessarily talk to any of you newcomers. Jareth does, though. He does sort of move around and talk to people. Sort of ask you questions about your life and what brought you here and sort of what you think and what your beliefs are. And you're passing over the desert, and you can see, it looks just sort of this endless sea of sand with islands of sort of rock here and there that come out. And you are heading deeper into the desert. And so you guys are all known. Obviously, this is, desert wasn't hidden. It's massive. But none of you have ever penetrated this deep into it before. The desert is known, this desert is known to have violent sandstorms. And indeed, you can see, off in the horizon, you can see there are several sort of such storms, but they're pretty far away from you. But this desert is known to have massive sandstorms. There are vast creatures that live in the sand, sort of in the deep desert, that you only have heard sort of rumors about and have seen. Every now and again you'll see a trader or something that has come through that you've seen that is displayed this is the jawbone of the massive sand shark, or but you've never seen a complete skeleton or actually anything anything living. Most people sort of avoid either they travel sort of the long way around or teleport. There's also the lightning rail lines, but nothing goes through this desert. And it's believed that that the storms and things are caused by. Some people say that there are dragons out here, ancient dragons that control the storms. Some people say that there are gods that are warring out here. That's why the desert looks the way it is that it's just sort of been blighted by the constant sort of celestial warring.
The dragon story is correct.
What's up?
I said the dragon story is correct. Just ask Spot.
Massive dragons.
Yes.
Most of the things that you know about are due to dragons. Everything.
I don't know if this matters or not, Ed, but I took my background as the far traveler.
Yeah.
And I did that because I'm a Loxodon,
Right.
and I don't think they
Not
are
super
from
common.
this. Right. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So you.
So everything's new to me.
Yeah. So yeah, this is all kind of new. Yeah. I imagine you broke some law without knowing it. That's how you ended up on that ship. You did something without
Yeah.
you're just oh, all right, I guess. Yeah. You peed in the wrong fountain or something like that. And you're just damn it. So,
It had an elephant statue. I assumed that was
a marker
with that.
for, I thought this was for sure. And as you guys are traveling, you notice that you are continually moving. Southeast towards what
we know what's past that.
So what's on the other side of the desert. People have been around the desert, but nobody's ever been through the desert.
Okay.
And so you're moving towards the center of it. You're moving towards the center of the desert. And as you journey, you see there's in the distance, you see this sort of this small sort of rock thing that you are continually moving towards. And day after day, you're still moving towards this thing, and you see it's slowly getting bigger, and you realize, distance is really weird here in the desert because everything just sort of looks the same, sort of rolling sand and everything. But as this thing is always on the horizon, and you've been moving towards it day after day after day, and it's slowly getting bigger. You get the sense that this thing must be massive, and it's just very far away. But it must be massive that you can see it that it's always on the horizon as you're moving towards it.
Do we have a sense of speed?
You're probably going. You're moving along at a fairly good clip. You're probably going like 60-ish, 60, 70 miles an hour.
Oh shit! Yeah, so we're moving.
Yeah, you guys are moving so you're moving along at a pretty good clip. This is faster than any airship you've ever been on. And you also, so the guy that you saw on the prison ship, the guy that died in his harnesses. So that guy. So those of you that had been on airships, I don't know if that would have been core or not. Those of you that have traveled on airships before, that guy is the wind master. And typically what they do is they're there to subjugate the captured air elemental that's on the ship. And their whole gig is just to subjugate that thing into making that ship fly and move.
Yeah.
On this ship, there is no wind master. And the ship is moving faster than any airship you've ever been on.
That interests the heck out of Spot. He's going to try to pry into the reasons behind that.
Spot, if you want to, you can work with Vox and you can recreate your defender, your steel defender.
Okay. So I'll work with them to reassemble all my various toolkits and my defender. And then the rest of my time is going to be on ingratiating myself to every member of the crew.
Right. just spit her off the lowest guy, and you're just like, oh, let me swab the deck.
You said Thalia was the tattoo artist?
Valia, yeah.
Valia, yeah. So I'll just get bracers basically tattooed to.
So she asked me. Yeah, so when you walk in, you see so she is you think some kind of nymph. She's very like her skin has like sort of it looks like kind of like polished like balsa wood.
Okay.
And but it's flexible, like she's moving around, but you're like, that's odd. But you walk in, when you walk in, like she looks at you with sort of these luminous green eyes, like emerald, like leaves and like deep summer green. And she has green hair. You walk in and she says, "Oh, well, you must be one of the ones that we rescued. Ooh, you're a big one, aren't you?"
A bit large, yes.
Well, what can I do for you today?
I would like a reminder of my time on the ship. I would like you to tattoo some shackles onto my wrists, please.
Oh, you want to remember?
Yes, not all of us made it out alive.
How? I see. I see. Well, how well do you wish to remember?
Accurately.
Of course. Well, if you would permit me, may I see your memories of your time in incarceration?
It's my first time. Be gentle.
And she goes, of course. And you see, so when you first walked in, she seemed fairly small. But as she reaches up towards you with her hands, and you can see her fingers, they sort of have like this root-like appearance to them, like the sort of fingers, but they sort of go and they sort of taper down and they're long. And you see her sort of stand up, and she kind of like grows almost as she like, instead of like standing up, like you see her almost just sort of elongate. She's sort of kind of, yeah, like she sort of just sort of grows a little bit, and then she reaches out towards you, and you feel as she touches your head, you get a sensation like the roots of her finger, like her root fingers are going into your head, but it's not a physical sensation. It's more like an impression that is what's happening, but like she hasn't actually like physically penetrated your skull.
Mm-hmm.
But you get this feeling of that. And suddenly you're right back in that line, baking in the sun. And you see, there's people attacking the people in the chain. You're desperately trying to defend people, trying to take the hits from bricks that are sailing in instead of letting them hit those of you in the line. But you can't, you have none of your equipment. You're shackled, and you're desperately trying to defend people. Like there was a chain behind you was a boy, probably, God, maybe 15, 16. It's hard to tell, like with humans, but maybe 15 or, I mean, that he probably, a razor had never touched his face. And so and you're desperately trying to defend people. But he was attacked when the mob surged in, and he was one of the ones that was killed. And you were unable to protect him. Several flashes of that happening. You see again, as you were marching in, the guards, viciously taking the butts of their spears and hitting you and your other prisoners, and you being, you lunging to try and interpose yourself between the strikes, but being stopped by the chains and being sort of helpless to defend those around you. And then, to the escape, and watching Core gut the man and leave him behind, and you being sort of unable, like just being so exhausted and being unable to carry the man, like that feeling of, just being, of wanting to act but being unable to, from physical limitations like that. That sort of, all of that sort of comes flooding back to you. And Falia looks at, she sort of, and you get this feeling of sort of the roots sort of retracting from you, but again, like it didn't actually go into you. And she says, "Oh my, this is what you wish to remember?"
Yes. It shall be a fine reminder of what the Empire's brought upon us.
And she nods and she says, "Of course, of course." And she says, "Please, hold out your arms." And you see her reach back into this, sort of this shelf, and she pulls out these jars of ink. But the ink is, you see it sort of swirling, like you see it sort of moving on its own. Like you see it sort of swirling and moving around, and it's like slightly luminous. And you see her reach her sort of, root fingers down into the ink. And you can see, as she does this, you see there's sort of light that moves down the roots into the ink, and you see it sort of swirl and move. And then she sort of pulls back her hands, and you see that there's no ink, despite her like fingers being in the ink. There's no ink on her fingers at all. And then she like reaches up sort of like onto her neck area, and she pulls out this thorn, and she dips it into all of the ink, all the different colors that you can see. She dips into all of them, and then she begins to do the tattoo. She begins to do the work. And as she does it, you can see the different like colors are sort of, they move together on the tattoo, but you can see that they sort of swirl and move. Like, and when you look, you look right at the tattoo and you kind of concentrate it on, you can almost see images from your memories. And she works, sort of quietly and diligently, but she sort of has this, like, she has this sort of humming that she does. And as she hums, the oddest sensation, like as you're sitting there and she's, poking you with this needle, but as she's humming, the pain sort of fades away. Like you can't really feel it. And you almost like you get this very serene sort of contentment sort of comes over you. And you swear up and down, like if someone was to ask you later, that you could feel sort of the summer sun on your face, and you can hear the wind. So are you from a mountain tribe, or where are you, coastal tribe? Like where are you from?
Yeah, so Mountain Tribe, I figure he was kind of taken down. I took the soldier background, so just kind of joined the ranks of a mix. So not necessarily with the Goliath tribe, but
So
just kind of selected to come down and aid.
You may have been, you may have been press ganged in by the Empire, like sort of. They gave you ye old join or die speech.
Yeah.
Silver.
And as I continued my journey, realized a spiritual awakening that the
Sure.
Empire was not needed, and that's kind of why I was thrown
Yeah.
into the.
Yeah, you sort of felt a pull. Yeah. So as she's doing it, but you can feel like you can smell sort of the pine trees of your mountain home, and you can hear sort of this babbling, sort of mountain stream, and you can hear the wind moving through the crags and the peaks and the trees. And you're not sure how much time passes. But just suddenly you feel this very gentle but firm sort of grip on your upper forearm, not where she tattooed, but on your upper forearm, and she says, "It's done." And the humming stops, and suddenly you're back in the ship, but it's not abrupt. Everything is just sort of this gentle transition. Like you just sort of like you can't tell if you fell asleep or if it was a dream, or you're not exactly sure what happened.
Lucid dreaming.
Yeah, like you're not exactly sure what, but you're like, what, you kind of come back to, and like I said, it's not abrupt. It's not like, oh, well, we're, just suddenly like almost like waking up, but very gently. And you're like, oh, but you feel very like probably the best that you felt in quite some time. And you look down, and she's finished the tattoos, and it is some of the best. I mean, obviously, you have been a soldier, you've been around a bunch of tattoos. Like it is some of the best tattoo work that you've ever seen. Like you swear to God, they look like real shackles. Like you reach out and touch them, and you're surprised that they're not like 3D. Like you run your finger across, and you're like, oh no, that is just my skin.
So did she use lysergic acid diethylamide to help make those?
What now?
LSD?
Oh. So she flips your hands over, and she shows you on the bottom. And so on each of the shackles, you can see where there's like a keyhole, that she's tattooed in. And she says, when you want to remember, press the keyhole on either hand and concentrate, and you will remember vividly. And she says, I understand your motivation, but these memories will not bring you peace.
There's no peace where I'm going.
And you see her sort of nod, a little sadly to herself, and you see the sort of the bright green of her hair has sort of turned sort of an autumn yellow and orange. And she says, I understand, and I do not envy the path you have chosen to walk. If you ever desire to have these shackles removed, if you ever free yourself from the chains you have forged, please come see me again, and I will remove them.
Thank you for your work.
And when you look down at the shackle, like I said again, like if you look at them and concentrate, you can almost see pictures form in sort of the swirling patterns in the manacles.
Do other people see this too, or do they just see Shackle?
They just see Shackles.
Okay.
And so you get up and go on.
During the time that we've been traveling, Tantor has been on deck at times really early in the morning, practicing and training silently by himself.
Mm-hmm.
His discipline looks similar to a combination of sumo and jujitsu.
Right. Okay.
And the rest of the people will probably hear on deck the chimings of his ring bracelets as he's doing this.
Oh yeah. It's become sort of a because I mean, you know, you do it. I imagine like probably like 3 times a day or something like that, and fairly regularly, like fairly disciplined. You see some of the crew in your evening workout. They've made sort of a drinking game and song that goes to the rhythm of the chiming of your bracelets. And so they have this song that they sing that goes along with the chiming of your bracelets. And it's a song, it's a song about, sort of the desert and the wind, a girl that they loved that was in the Empire, and like, the sort of a song that sailors would sing, but it goes to the chiming of your, and they know, because you practice sort of, it's sort of a consistent movement, and so they've learned the rhythm that you produce, and they've made this song and kind of a drinking game that goes along with it. So everybody, like day after day, as you guys are on this ship, the crowd kind of gets bigger. Every time, like in the evening you practice, like sort of after the evening meal, and you go out and you start, sort of going through your routine, and like, there's sort of a crowd, they go, here we go.
Nice.
And it's, and everybody, and everybody kind of, I mean, they give you some space, but as you have provided sort of a form of entertainment, in the way of like what they consider it music, people are fairly friendly towards you.
Nice.
If they want entertainment, Spot is more than happy to give them great and awesome stories from his people using silent image and telling the tales.
Yeah. So, so you probably do that like in the evening, when it kind of gets dark, and you create these, and you narrate these, and this, so, to the crowd, like this is great fun. This is something like after it's full dark, and they're up on the ship, and you see various people, people usually they have like a pipe or some, they're sort of settled in with something to smoke, something to drink, and they're watching. They sort of watch you put on these productions, and it's become sort of a kind of a you're almost kind of becoming a mascot on the ship. And you hear several of the sailors talking about that this is the best voyage that they've ever taken.
Awesome.
This one is always happy to please.
And so eventually you guys, after, it takes you probably 10 or so days aboard, moving at a, 24 hours, sort of moving at a fairly good clip. To finally, you're approaching this massive spire of rock that's coming up out of the desert, and now that you're closer and you can kind of put some scale to it, this thing is absolutely massive. Like it is hundreds of feet high above the desert floor, and many hundreds in diameter, just this massive, Rob, that's fine. Massive, just this massive spire of rock that just juts up like this massive fang coming up out of the desert sand. and you guys approach it. You guys, you're coming up on it, and you can see now as you approach that there are several ships. Not many bigger than the one that you're on. A lot smaller, and they're sort of coming in at all heights. Like you can see now as you get closer that there's caves and openings all around this thing, all the way up to the top, all the way down to the bottom. You see, you can see as you're sort of getting closer to this thing, you can see sand ships that are sailing on the sand, coming in and coming up to like docks that come out into the desert sand. Off the bottom of the spire, and you see airships coming in. There's also a few, you see a few, not very many, you see a few caravans that are sort of on foot, people with sort of wagons and on foot. Not a whole lot of those. Most people, you see a lot of the sand ships, people sailing on the sand, and smaller airships. And as you guys are approaching, you see Jareth comes out on deck, and he says, and you see this sort of look on his face of there's a little bit of apprehension, but mostly just sort of that coming home kind of like, home, look on his face. And he says, welcome one and all to the spire. And he sort of gestures up, and this thing is just, it like as you get, the closer you get, you realize sort of how grand and massive this thing is. And you're kind of wondering to yourself, you're like, how the hell have I never heard about this? Like this sort of hive of civilization, like happening, like what the, like how the hell, what? Because it looks fairly busy. Like you see people moving in and out, like, and you're like, what the, how the, because you've heard so much stuff about this desert, but you've never once heard about this. You've never heard of people trading with it. You've never heard of people visiting it. Nothing.
What is this place?
And he says, And he says, this is my home. And this is the home of the Empire of Winds. And he looks at you and he goes, it's kind of a ridiculous name, right?
It is a great name.
He says, this is the part I was telling you about that we're looking to change. He says, there's the people here, some people were fighting against the Empire, and yet they insist on calling us an empire. He says, really, well, you'll hear more about this, but really it was just sort of started out as just sort of a collection of pirates that managed to make a living and a home here out from under the boot heel of the Empire. But some people, and you see a significant glance over at Seraph, and he says, some people will insist on us being more than simply a ragtag band of pirates. And so the ship pulls up to a dock, sort of mid-level, not at the top, not at the bottom, sort of mid-level onto the spire. And the crew sort of, they sort of make the ship fast to the dock. Lines are thrown, saily type things are said. And they pull the ship close to the dock, and Jareth says, now, all of you are welcome here. We try to abide by simple and common sense rules. Be kind to others. We're all in this together. Please make no attempt to harm anyone or to take anything that isn't yours. Any infractions will be met with swift and decisive justice. There is no other way to live here in the desert. Now, for those that are interested in, you've heard me tell, something about our struggles against the Empire. For those of you who are interested in joining our cause, I invite you to follow me. I'm going to see my father.
Well, I must say, of all the many leaders I've seen throughout my many years, you certainly seem among the wisest. I'd be honoured if you would accept my service.
We'll take anyone who's willing to help. Would anyone else care to join me?
This one is always happy to serve.
Tantor will step forward.
This is good. We could always use your help, my quiet but massive friend. And you, Kipsith, yeah. Yeah, you, Kipsith. If you're talking, Ryan, we can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
I thought it was implied I was already on board. I muted my headset and I'm like, man, no one's responded to anything I've said.
Why are you talking over me?
All right. Yep. I'm on board. I said, let's go meet the father.
We thought Tantor was quiet. And so he leads you in, followed by Seraph, and of course, and a couple of the crew members follow you. But as you sort of go deeper and deeper into the spire, they sort of peel off and head down other directions. And Seraph is talking quietly with Jareth up ahead. And as you head deeper and deeper into the spire, it's very cool. Like you're away from the desert heat, and you can see as you're heading in. You can hear and you can see water running along the rock walls and caves, and it's not contained in any way that you can easily discern. Like you just see sort of water running along, like it's not just like sheathed in water. Like there's definitely like, sort of these cylinders that the water's moving on, but it's just moving along the rock sort of its own volition, presumably.
As if by wind.
No, you don't feel, you feel like sort of a breeze moving through the wind.
So if you reach out, if I reach out and try to kind of touch it, what happens?
So when you reach out and you put your hand in it, it like water, it just sort of flows through your hand, but it just continues along its way. But no water runs down your hand. Like it doesn't splash or move out. Like it basically just sort of flows around. I mean, it feels like water. Like it flows around your fingers, but it doesn't splash at all, and it doesn't like run down your hand.
I'll try and drink some of it.
Oh, so yeah, so you you put your face in there?
I'll try and like scoop some water out to drink it.
So yeah, as you sort of like you try to scoop it out, but it sort of moves, and Jareth comes up behind you and he puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, "You have to ask."
How may I have a drink?
And so when you say this, it's like you sort of, your hand's sort of out and you say, may I have, or is your hand still up or is it down?
I guess it's kind of, I guess I was trying to scoop water out repeatedly.
Right. And then you ask?
Yeah.
And so when you ask, when your hand touches the water runs down your arm and then up into your mouth.
Would you like some tea?
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, and then as soon as you put your hand down, the water sort of flows back up into the stream and continues down the rock.
Gareth, where does this water come from?
And he says, "Well, from the earth, of course.
Of course.
And you continue walking down, and as you're walking down, continuing on, give me perception checks.
Oh Lord.
Nine.
It's natural 20, which is a total of 20.
10. I'm looking at my bracelets.
12. You said.
Can I take my passive perception of 15?
Yeah. We can do passive perception. Whatever your passive perceptions are.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Well, then that would drop my natural 20 to a 10.
Well, no, you can. I mean, we can say if you were looking for something, we can keep your 20. So those of you with higher than 15, by whichever means.
Nope.
Nope.
You notice that there's something in the rock that is of the rock, but it is definitely moving along the passageway, sort of keeping pace with you, and seems to be like it. You get the feeling of being that it's watching you,
So
not
this
you
is a place
specifically, but
filled
watching the
with elemental
party.
Spirits?
What's up?
This is a place filled with what appears to be elemental spirits. You know, smart water, smart rock, smart air elementals that push boats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they seem to be in with the spirits.
Hmm.
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's not as awesome as dragons, but it's still pretty cool.
Looks like a wall of rock to me.
Oh yeah. You guys haven't. Yeah, you haven't noticed anything like you're all. Oh yeah, wall of rock. But yeah, anyone 15 or higher, you sort of notice there's something that's in the rock and of the rock that's moving. Like it's definitely like imagine like when you if you like move your foot under blankets, you sort of see that sort of bump. Like it looks kind of like that. Like it's sort of moving, but you get the feeling of being watched. Like that it's something that is aware and is sort of looking at you.
So are they okay with me riding Tia up and down the halls with this, or do I have to carry it? That's the vendor. I made it look like Tiamat.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. You can ride it.
Excellent. Because otherwise I'd have to ride somebody else to keep up.
Yeah, you're sort of clanking down the hall in this thing. So yeah, you're moving down, and you get to you come down like sort of what you would guess is sort of the center of the spire. You're not entirely like super sure, but you're like, yeah, probably. And so you get to the center. You get to this. You come to these massive doors, and you can see. And on either side of the doors, you see these what looks like these stone sort of braziers that are full of fire. And you see the fire is moving back and forth between the two. You see it sort of going up the walls. It's moving like sort of through the door, and it's sort of like flowing like liquid over the wall ahead of you.
This is
Finally, I'm
definitely
not afraid of
take
fire.
on the Temple of Elemental Evil.
And as Jareth approaches, you see him sort of reach. You see him reach a hand out to the fire, and you see it sort of curl around. You see him sort of like curl itself around his arm, and it sort of moves down and up, and then back to the thing, back to the wall. And he said, and you see him speak sort of to the wall in front of him, and he says, "I'm here to see Father." And you see the fire sort of part like curtains, and the stone, the big sort of these massive sort of stone doors, you see them just turn to sand and just sort of sheet down to the ground.
Impressive.
And he says, "Oh, I suppose that's just the Earth being the Earth.
Totally nonchalant.
Yeah. And you walk in and you see this massive, like the room that you're in, the room that you enter is absolutely massive. And it's sand. The whole floor is sand, and it's sort of this like this bowl, like this big sort of sand bowl. And it's open all the way up to the top. Like you see sunlight sort of streaming down from the top. And it's, there's a little bit of like, sort of dust in the air, but not super bad. But yeah, you can definitely see sort of motes of dust as the sunlight sort of streaming down from the top, this massive sort of sand bowl. And you can see in this room, you can hear water running. And you can't identify, like right away, you can't identify where the water is, but you can hear it and you assume it's probably doing what you saw in the hallway. It's running around, and you as you walk in the sand, Jareth's sort of in the lead, and the center of this bowl, you see the sand sort of rise up and form into the shape of a man, sort of a humanoid man. And then like it's sort of, the sand sort of rises up in a column, and then it washes away, and there's a man standing there. And he says, "Ah, ha, 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 my boy, you've returned to us." And you see Jareth kind of, "Hi, Dad," kind of the, and he walks. They sort of walk towards each other, and you guys, do you guys sort of hang back, or do you walk forward with him, or?
Same distance.
Yeah,
No,
I'll be hanging
we'll
back.
dismount and sort of kneel on the ground waiting.
Right. So yeah, you walk forward, or so they sort of walk, they sort of embrace, and you see them. They exchange some quiet words. And they eventually they step apart, and then they say a few things, and you see Jareth sort of gesture back towards you guys, and you see the man sort of lean his head to the side, and they turn and they walk towards you.
Start the appropriate amount of groveling.
Sure. And they come towards you, and Jareth says, "Everyone, may I please introduce the leader of our little band here, my father." What do I want his name to be?
Another Aerith. Derek.
No, there's a reason for that, but we'll get into it later.
Oh, he's a bastard.
He turns and he says, "This is my father, Morik." And Morik says, leader of this little band. "Yeah. Hi, everyone. My son tells me that you helped him to escape. I am in your debt. I thank you. And I welcome you to the Spire. And I hope that you can find homes here away from the Empire. And perhaps, if you are willing, you might join our little band." And you guys notice, as Morik is talking to you, you notice that his skin and like parts of him, as he's speaking, you see them. They take on the texture of like sand or rock, or sometimes water. You see like his clothes or his hair sometimes move by a breeze that you don't feel. And he doesn't seem to bother him or or Jareth or Seraph. Like you don't see him. Like they don't seem to react, and he doesn't seem to notice or anything as he's talking to you.
Oh, truly, you you honor us by your kindness. If anything, I feel it is we that owe you a debt. I would be honored to join your service.
And Alex says, "You don't serve me, my friend. You serve yourself. We are all here
Tantor
fighting."
I was just going to say, Tantor will bow in respect.
Mhm.
And that's
Oh, okay.
Respect. This is respect. Full on banging his forehead against the ground.
Spot manages to bury himself into the sand a little bit just to get that much lower. And
I
he
would
said,
like. Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
"Oh, good. No, go ahead. Say it."
Oh,
I was
my
going to
belly
say
and
I'd
my
like
throat.
to roll insight.
Yeah, go ahead.
15.
You're not picking up on the guy hesitating or being any sort of disingenuous. I mean, you don't know him very well, and obviously the guy has some connection to the elements.
Mhm.
But you're not picking up on any, like he does seem genuine. Like you're not picking up on any sort of hesitation. He's looking you all in the eye by turn.
Okay. Because last time I was asked to join a
really
band, I
uncomfortable.
wasn't too happy.
Right. So he tells you, he says, "Please don't let the habits of a few," and at this he sort of glances meaningfully at Seraph, and he says, "Don't let the habits of a few fool you." He says, "Or the name," and again he sort of glances over at Seraph. He says, "We are not an empire. This is not a kingdom. I am not an emperor. I simply do what I can to fight against what I see as injustice, as oppression."
I'll kind of perk up at like injustice. Fighting injustice?
And he says, "I assist those who help themselves in their fight against the injustice and the oppression that we have seen that comes from the empire. We have all decided that we do not want the course of our lives dictated by a few at the top. Those who have appointed and anointed themselves the leaders of men. We do not agree, and we think that everyone should be able to decide the course of their own lives. If some decide that they wish to band together and move in a common good, then they should do so for as long as it serves everyone's interests. But we do not think that people's lives should be determined by someone who has no heart and no feeling and no care for those that they purport to rule."
Truly, you sound a noble representative of your people.
And he says, "Well, there are those who have come to the Spire generally agree with our philosophy and our way of life. And that's why they've come here, and that's why they live here. But we do what we can so that we can decide the course of our lives. And those who choose to help us and join us, well, then we fight together for ourselves. And if any of you would like to do so, I can help you get armored and armed, but I would ask of your help in a matter that is somewhat pressing."
Of course.
Let's go.
He says, There is a device being moved by the Empire on the lightning rail, moving at the edges of my desert. And I have tried, but am unable to disrupt its transportation. I am unable to... They have seemed to move it beyond my grasp. I request your help. You seem, well, obviously you are all survivors. Obviously you are all capable. If you would help to retrieve this, it would be very, very beneficial for all of us. Well, I should say retrieve or destroy. Either outcome is fine. It just cannot be delivered to the Empire. If it is, I fear our way of life here will come to an end. If this is agreeable to you, I ask that you think on it tonight. Please visit the armory, get what you need. We also have several flesh benders here at the Spire. Those who their services were no longer required, or they were required to do something that they disagreed with at the Empire, can help to augment you if you wish. Some choose that path, some do not. That's fine, but they can help you. But please. So the flesh benders are those that they can. So in this particular world, there's augments.
Yeah, Tantor has no idea.
There's augmentations that you can take generally. So in the Empire, they're reserved for sort of the highest levels in the military or in the ruling classes in the nobles. So Coral, you've probably seen this quite a bit. But there's things that augmentations that you can get that give you certain abilities, certain things. It can be difficult. You got to make sure that it takes, we'll say. But yeah, you can get things that can make you move faster or make you stronger.
Any draconic infusions?
What's up?
Any draconic infusions? I mean, I don't want to pollute my blood with anything lesser.
So there's nothing. Most of the stuff is sort of mechanical in nature. Well, sort of biomechanical, arcana and mechanical. You know, that sort of fantasy science realm. It can, you know, things that can. So the eye that Jareth used when he melted that tree. That's sort of an example. That's sort of a one-time deal. That wasn't like a permanent one. That was sort of like an implant used for just such an occasion.
I totally thought when you said flesh bender, you were making a euphemism for prostitute.
I was thinking the same thing.
That's where I went too.
I was like, oh, okay.
Guess that's what he does.
Maybe these doppelgangers?
Guess it's been a long trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he says, if this is something, if you think that this is something you would like to join us in doing, please think about it tonight. You are guests here in the Spire. You'll be shown to your rooms, and we can meet tomorrow to talk about it.
So have we kind of become friendly towards each other as a group, or this is for the group?
I'm extremely friendly.
I'm friendly towards Kip and Spot. I'm indifferent towards Core.
Yeah, I'll have spent a lot of the time on the ship kind of keeping my distance, probably just practicing throwing things, keep my eye in.
Sure.
I did say that I wouldn't hurt you on the ship.
You did.
And we're not on the ship.
You'll notice I never promised anything.
Not too worried.
Yeah, so I must ask, what is your connection with the elements? It seems very strong.
He kind of chuckles and he says, well, that is a long long story, I guess. But let's say that I made a bargain long ago with them, and I'm still honoring that agreement.
Off to bed.
And then and then he just sort of nods and everybody's like, "Mm," and you see Jareth kind of like kind of rolls his eyes a little bit. And he says, and he kind of speaks up and he goes, "Okay, well, let me show you guys around, give you a little tour of the spire. What do you say?"
Most interesting.
He says, "All right." He says, "Dad, I will see you later this evening." And his father, he kind of chuckles. He goes, "I'll be seeing you." And he you see Jared kind of roll his eyes, and he goes, "All right, Dad, don't make it weird." And
Wait, did Core drink his dad?
What's up?
Did Core drink his dad?
I don't know. Tough to say.
Tough. Dad's liquid in you. Well done.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you guys turn and leave. Does anyone, as you guys are walking out, does anyone sort of turn and look back?
I don't think so, unless I hear anything.
Person in the room.
What's up?
That always looking at the most powerful person in the room.
Yeah. So Spot, you sort of bow and back out, you don't walk out forward. And when you guys get to the edge of the sort of the bowl, right? You get to the edge as you're walking out the door. Spot, you see Morik. You see him. He's walking. You see him sort of walking up the opposite edge of the bowl, and you see this. There's sort of a gust of wind that comes down from the top of the spire. And as it swirls around him, you see him sort of turn into fire and swirl up with the wind, and then sort of dissipate, and then he's gone.
That was cool. Tiamat's cooler, but that was cool.
And I don't know. Was everybody else just walking out? Did anybody else see that?
I didn't see that.
Not unless it made noise or something to look back.
No. Yeah, so you guys walk out. You're walking down the hall, and he goes, "So, that's my dad. He's he can be a little intense sometimes, but overall, he's a pretty good guy. He's done a lot for people."
He seems a wise man. He recognizes the strength in the natural order.
And he goes, and he kind of chuckles to himself, and he goes, "Well, yeah, Dad's all about the natural order." and he's you guys are walking down the hallway, and again you can see the water sort of flowing along the rock walls, and you guys with the passive wisdom there, you sort of see things sort of moving in the rock.
I will wave and bow at the moving rock and wave and bow at the water fountain.
All right. Just, okay. Your core is going to be insane by the end of this.
Just one massive set of abs.
Right. Yeah. So you guys continue down the hallway, and you're moving out towards the edges. And he says, Jareth turns to you and he says, "Here, I imagine none of you have any coin on you." And you guys are no longer in the rags you were in, but none of you have armor on. You're just sort of wearing they had clothes on the ship that you guys could manage to sort of mostly sort of fit you.
I imagine a very ill-feeding toga and then just grabbing a bed sheet.
That'll do you. You guys managed to borrow some of Vox's stuff. Cookie had some things that has extra armholes in it, but it mostly fits. And he says, first, what do you say we get some proper clothes, and then I'll take you guys to one of the best restaurants here in the Spire. What do you think?
Someone is always happy to please.
And
Yum time.
so every time you talk, Spot, Jareth looks down at you and he kind of grimaces a little bit. Like he doesn't like anyone who seems like he just like your sort of subservience makes him very like uncomfortable.
Um,
I'm like an abused child subservient. It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah. Like he picks up on that, like, and it makes him really uncomfortable. Like he really like his, sort of their whole, you're like your life, like your whole demeanor is why they fight the fight they do against the Empire, and you're like this living embodiment of a crushed spirit. So he says, all right, he says, let's head over to the haberdashery. We'll get you guys something a little more suitable to wear. And he sort of tugs on your bed sheet a little bit. He's all, we'll get something a little more suitable to wear. And then we'll get something to eat, and then we'll visit the armory. What do you say?
We should be well rested and well provisioned for this mission. It sounds important.
And you see his face, like sort of, he was kind of smiling before, but you see this grim cast come over his face, and he says, "You have no idea." And and he says, "Well, we could talk about that a little bit later. Right now, let's get everybody looking and feeling their best." And so you guys head down to you head downstairs. You sort of go down these spiraling stairs, and everywhere along the stairs, like there's little shops, and there's you see different houses, and there doesn't seem to be like a really well thought out like plan or anything. Like a lot of stuff is sort of intermingled in places. That does seem to be like there has sort of over the years, like things have sort of congregated to places, but there's still like, you can tell there's places that you're like, oh yeah, like someone has probably lived there for who knows how long. But for the most part, a lot of the shops and stuff have sort of like, they've naturally sort of like congregated in different areas. But there definitely doesn't, but everything, the entire spire, like everything has a very natural feel to it. Like nothing, all the hallways, the steps, everything looks as if either the stone sort of formed it that way itself, or it was made by water, or like it doesn't look like a chisel has ever landed in the spire. Like it just doesn't look like that's ever happened here.
Dad is a demigod of the elements.
What's up?
Beginning to wonder if Dad is a demigod of the elements. Is his name Maui? No, it wasn't Maui. Morik, close.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And so, you guys head down. You head down, and you can see the sort of this bustling market, and he leads you over to a sort of a haberdashery that has like several. There's stuff like hanging on the walls. There's a bunch of bolts of cloth, and you see people are sort of busily working, and you see all sorts of people here. Like it's not just humans. Like you see minotaurs, you see centaurs, you see elves, gnomes, halflings, like just about every type of person you can see. You even see a couple of Luxodons, not many. Like you see like two.
Hard to miss.
Yeah, hard to miss. There's definitely, you see quite a bit of Goliaths. Definitely, you can see like the markings they have on them, like they're definitely different tribes. But it's a pretty common thing. Like as the empire expanded out, a lot of the hill tribes and things, people that had lived more or less sort of the same way for, hundreds, if not thousands of years, were sort of subsumed by the expanse of this. So you guys go in, you get kitted out, whatever clothing you kind of want, it's available. They have the leathers and stuff that they have they're definitely not like cow. All the leather is sort of scaly. It's some sort of reptile, whatever it was large.
Not draconic, but something else reptile.
No, definitely not draconic. Like it's the scale, like God knows, not dragon skin. It's some sort of like lizard, like it's, you know, it has like that same sort of smooth like lizard or snake, but the scales are big.
Excellent. Would it inhibit my movement? Scales are still big. Would it still be appropriate for a spot?
No, I mean big compared to like what you would say a normal snake scale is. Like they're, you know, you're like, oh Jesus, like whatever this was, it was pretty big. Like if you're judging by, you know, you're like, oh, this must have come off of something roughly the size of a purple worm type of
nice
big.
Get myself a nice loincloth and vest.
Yeah. So when you like you like specifically say like if I get a loincloth and you see like the tailor kind of looks at you and he looks up at Jareth and Jareth is like, he kind of tries to suggest like, oh, maybe pants or a kilt would be a little, you know.
I will wear whatever makes you happy. Yes, definitely make you happy.
and he kind of like, and he goes, okay, let's get him a nice kilt. How about we'll sort of split the difference? We'll get him a nice kilt. And so, yeah, you're fitted out with sort of a nice leather kilt.
Excellent. Boomer would love me.
Yeah. New pet.
Huh. Tantor has, I guess, gets like cloth that's orange and purple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they have, so the cloth that they have, it's weird. So it's not cotton. It's made from sort of a fibrous plant that grows in the desert. So it has, it feels more like fleece, like kind of how fleece feels, but it's not heavy. Like it's still like sort of flowing. So it's not like a heavy cloth, but it definitely has like a different feel to it than what you're used to.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be it.
Yeah, and so yeah, they sort of fit you out, and the tailors are actually pretty excited to sort of kit you out because the colors you've chosen are very, very bold, and you're kind of a large canvas. And so they put together some like, you know, robes, and they make sure like they ask you to do some movements, and they want to make sure that you're not restricted, but they also want to make sure that it doesn't like get like in the way, like it's not like too billowy or anything like that. So they
oh yeah, I'll do some movements.
Yeah, so yeah, you're out, sort of do, and they ask you to do the full range of like movement, like they really want to see. And then they put
Bob's Linens.
Yeah.
So they put something together that manages to look very sort of flowy and roby, but at the same time doesn't inhibit your movement and stays in place very well. Like there's like sort of an underlayer that secures it to your body very well.
Nice. Yeah, and one thing too the group would have noticed is that I move very light on my feet for someone my size.
Right. Right, you're not just stumping around back there.
Right.
Oh, someone has stone feet. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, how are you? I mean, so this isn't the armor. This is just sort of the clothier, clothing. How the rest of you? What do you guys?
Shorts and just a sleeveless like shirt.
Okay.
I would ask for sort of very sort of practical, hard wearing type clothes, I think. Like probably.
Yeah. Something. Earl, do you have anything like Carhartts or like I'm looking for? And so they get you. So they say, oh, of course, like obviously people who travel in the desert need clothes that are going to last. So they fit you out. They get you something that it's a cloth. Again, it's not made of cotton, but it's kind of like denim, but it has more of a like a slick feeling to it.
And it would it would have like, I'd ask for like, for it to be able to have like a hood and a face covering as well. That can be.
You're in the desert, man. Like that's
yeah.
They're like assumed that it has like some sort of cowl and a way to shield yourself from the dust.
Yeah.
That's sort of built into like any clothing that you guys get. Like there's like sort of either if it's not built into the clothing itself, like they say, oh, you're going to need some sort of hat that has something that comes down and covers your neck and can go over your mouth.
So I'm the only one who's going to curl up in the sun and enjoy myself.
Oh, right. Yeah. You're like, actually, I need this for basic movement and metabolism. So they get you guys kitted out. You guys are, looking pretty good. You go out for a meal. He takes you up one level and there's like out on a balcony. You eat, it's a very fine meal. It's sort of it's spicy. And it has, everything has sort of like an earthy kind of flavor to it. Like there's like meats and different vegetables. It's a lot of root vegetables that are grown sort of in the spire. And the meat is sort of a locally caught reptile. It has kind of an earthy flavor to it, but it's pretty good. And it's sort of cooked in like a light, sort of this light broth. Really good. You guys enjoy sort of a nice meal. It's sort of getting sort of afternoonish at this point. And he goes, well, what do you say we visit the armory?
Indeed. It must be.
My eyes just light up.
Yeah.
He says, of course, follow me. And you guys head, so now you guys are heading up. You head up the spire. And as you guys are moving around, he's pointing out to you different areas and different sections. And he says, and you guys notice, and something that like surprises you, or maybe it surprises you, I don't know. You see at certain levels that you walk through, you see a lot of families and like little kids running around. At the same time that you're seeing, sort of, they're definitely fighters, but they're not like in an army, like they're not wearing a uniform or anything like that, but they are definitely armed and they're, moving around and you're seeing like weapons and stuff move. But at the same time, you're seeing little kids, like it's all sort of mingled together.
Okay. Do I see anything like a sauna and or bathhouse?
Oh, they definitely have a steam room. Like if you ask about that, the guy he says, "Oh no, we have like a hot springs, like room. Like turns out we can get a natural hot spring in here." To you, I don't know.
Yeah. What are the?
He says they certainly they have like sort of there's like a hot mud room and then there's also like a steam room.
Like do they have a sand room?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
So I don't have any interest in going to the weaponry, the armory, or anything like that. So I let the group know.
Well, so he asks you. He says, "Are you sure? I understand your kind are not do not wear weapons or armor, but perhaps there's something that we have that can augment your fighting style."
Can you put brass knuckles on tusks?
Get a tusk.
Feels like cheating.
Get a tusk duster.
Tusk duster.
But he says it is absolutely your choice. If you want any sort of gestures too, and you can see there's a lot of like families like moving towards this area, like, and you see them wearing like towels, or the kids are just naked. And he says the steam baths are that way. He says, please enjoy yourself, relax.
I will go with you. If I do not find anything I want, I will go to the bathhouse.
He says, of course. And so he continues to lead you up towards the top of the spire. And you come to an area where again you see there's a couple of guys sort of standing outside, and there's just a blank wall, like it's not even a door, it's a blank wall, and these guys sort of standing around. As he comes closer, the guys are sort of standing there, sort of give Jareth knowing waves, and he sort of nods and waves back. And you see him reach his hand out towards the wall, and as he does, you see the wall, a section of the wall sort of turns to sand and sort of falls to the floor.
How about the wall and the floor?
And you guys move into this armory, and there's just there's racks and racks of swords and spears, shields, armor. There's different, everything from sort of plate all the way down to just, pieces, sort of pauldrons and leather jerkins, studded leather. And then towards the back, you can see there looks like there's armor that's set over there, but it's there's a collection of armor, but it's not. They're grouped together seemingly by. You can't tell by what organization. Like there's a shield next to a sword next to. Some bracers next to, they're just sort of over against the wall.
Lucky dip.
Detect magic?
You cast Detect Magic?
Yeah.
There's a strong presence of magic coming from that collection of stuff towards the back. And there's all sorts of things that are coming from back there.
Do you share that with the group?
No.
You just leave it there.
Well, he assumes that you guys already know this, and he doesn't want to be presumptuous to point something out to you that you obviously already know.
That's how you get kicked.
That's how little guys get a kicking.
This is just the answer if you ask, but no, not. Mm-mm. You guys are all knowing. I'm just here to clean your boots.
So at this point, he sort of gestures around and he says, please, any of the items in these racks, you are free to take. The stuff towards the back, we might have to have a discussion about.
So I guess I'd look for some, probably just some studded leather, like studded leather armor, I expect.
Yep. Yeah, studded leather there.
Do they have any half plate in my size?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go half plate and shield.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will look for plate, shield, and a warhammer.
Oh, yeah.
Tantor's looking around, but probably doesn't see anything.
So you can see there are, there's definitely there's some brass knuckle type stuff. There are what you would say were like monk weapons against the wall. There's like nunchucks, the sickle things, katana, that type of thing. But I don't you're way the open hand, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he says, all right.
Is there a scimitar? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Any of those.
And a longbow, perhaps?
Oh, yeah. Bows, arrows.
Ooh, I'll take a... no, I won't take a bow. I won't be able to hit shit anyways. Minus one.
There's knives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely load up on knives. Cool.
Yeah, Tantor definitely doesn't want a weapon.
I've got a. All right, I'm gonna let you guys. So I've got a book. I want to try. I want you guys to try some of these out. I've got. I picked up a supplement, and there's some magic items in there. So we're gonna.
Hand them out.
There's some cool stuff in here that I think.
Are there bracers of defense in there?
If you want bracers defense, we can give you that again.
I don't have that.
Hey, as long as I don't have a shield of missile attraction again. That didn't work out so well for the last guy.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it.
Where is...
Yeah, you're up there with that. I was gonna put everything in the wardrobe. Sort of hiding. Yeah.
Okay, so he leads you over, and he asks you. He says, "Is anyone interested in the services of the flesh benders?"
Not unless
Take
they
a
have anything
look.
draconic.
What's up?
I said not unless they have something draconic.
They don't have anything draconic.
Then nope.
Okay,
I'll take a look.
excellent. All right, let's see.
What are the items at the back?
So, yeah, you guys head towards the back. Oh, is this the short one? Is that why? Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. I opened up the wrong one.
Oh, hey, I found a rod of lordly might. Can I use this?
Let's see.
Tantor would probably be interested if there was something that can make him more sumo-y.
Movie.
Oh, this is the one. I'm sorry. This is the one I'm looking for. There we go. Okay. Couldn't figure out. I was like, where the hell are all the stupid things? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to make some suggestions and we'll see what you guys think. Everybody gets at least one, maybe two. Okay. All right. So through the discussion and looking at stuff, we'll say, think of it happening in a story sense. But I'm just gonna tell you guys what is out there. Okay, so for you, Tantor, there is a what is known as iron flesh. It's the category these things fall under.
Sounding promising.
Yeah. Let's see. There is.
Good news, I have mending and polishing.
Awesome.
Okay, let's see. Exploding, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Okay. There's something called a flame gauntlet.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, so it will replace one of your hands, and you essentially have a metal hand where one of your hands used to be. While you are wearing it, so it has 12 charges, and it regains 1d12 charges daily at dawn. While you are wearing it, at a mental command, your entire body becomes shrouded in flame that lasts up to 1 hour. The fire doesn't burn you, but it automatically deals 1d6 fire damage to anyone who tries to touch you or strike you with a melee attack.
Wow.
While the shroud is active, you gain a +1 bonus to AC and fire resistance.
Tell me about the iron flesh.
No, so that is iron flesh. That's the category that this falls under because it replaces you, and you can't take it off.
You've become Dr. Claw.
There is one that you might like called.
I was thinking I was going to turn into Batista from Man with the iron fists.
Hold on. Hold on. There is one.
As long as it's
So
not
keep
Jamie
it in hand you
Lannister.
don't jerk with.
Hold on. There's one called. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Something. Corpse. No. No. Claude. No. 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 Okay. Oh God. What the hell is it? There's one that basically it binds like scaled armor to your skin. Oh, here we go. Armored flesh. This appears to be a collection of organic armored plates, like a carapace or very large fish scales. Attuning to this item grafts it to you permanently, covering your entire body with scales that protect you, AC 17, but do not hinder your movement in any way, even when attempting to be stealthy.
Nice.
The relic augments your muscles. Your strength score is 15 while you have it on. This has no effect on you if your strength is already 15 or higher without it. However, the benefits come at a cost. Fibrous tendrils extend into your flesh and eventually reach your spine and brain over the next week, permanently reducing your intelligence by 2.
Ooh. So I'd be a 7 in intelligence. I was thinking about that, but that -2 to intelligence, because I would only get a +1 to my armor class and a +1 to my strength.
There is battle armor.
Okay.
Let's see. This full suit of armor is made of steel and a hard unknown substance. It resembles plate armor, but is far lighter than any known smith can create. And its very fine articulation points cover the entire body, even at complicated joints like the neck. It protects you as plate armor, so AC 18. The armor is entirely sealed, airtight, and watertight, and has its own internally renewed atmosphere, allowing you to breathe normally in any environment and giving you advantage on saving throws made against harmful vapors and gases. The armor also gives you resistance against cold and fire damage.
And the disadvantage is?
If you take massive damage, it compromises the armor's sealed environment. This ends its breathing resistance and resistance to fire, or it ends the breathing benefits and resistance to cold and fire, but it still provides its full AC.
Wow.
That might be good for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm already resistant, or not resistant to cold, but cold effects, being the Goliath. So
Because I'm not proficient in armor.
Oh, yeah, then you can't wear it.
Yeah.
But you can, that skin stuff, the armored flesh you can do, because that actually basically becomes your skin.
Yeah, I become real dumb, though.
Real dumb. You can go with the fire gauntlet.
Yeah, but then I lose a hand.
Oh, like it was doing, make it your left hand.
Sure, I can.
Or if you want, man, you can just get some bracers of protection. That's fine.
I was about to say, those scales are beginning to sound pretty good to spot. Having a strength 15 from a strength 8? Are you joking?
Yeah.
But
Like a
it's not draconic, so admit.
What's up, Matt?
I said,
Oh,
never mind.
I just said it's like a spot-sized power loader.
right.
Here, let me lift that up to your knees for you.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so for some of the rest of you, let's see.
Yeah,
okay, what do you guys, are you guys looking for armor or weapon?
I'd probably be looking for something that would help with ranged attacks, because that's kind of his thing.
That's his gig.
Yeah. Either throwing or shooting.
Sure, something shooty. What the hell is that?
That is a fingerling. That's what it was called.
Ah,
Uh,
my daughter has that.
Remember
Oh.
Not
those?
that one, but yeah.
They had to be had for about 10 minutes, and then
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say for the
Yep.
first couple days,
Yep.
and then
Yeah.
like I don't know where it
yep.
is
Then don't care about it anymore.
yeah.
till we go to throw it out and be like,
Yeah,
no, that's my
Yeah.
favorite.
So for you, Ryan, I have some Iron Flesh, Gauntlet of Protection, and also the Gauntlet of Shield Brandishing.
Nice.
What's that do?
Which one?
The shield branding?
This prosthesis replaces one of your hands with a slightly oversized metallic version that allows you to use your hand normally. The gauntlet has 10 charges and regains 1d10 charges at dawn. It has the same shield generating function as the one above. So basically, as a reaction, you can spend 1 charge when you get attacked, and the gauntlet manifests a small plane of pure translucent force that flickers and gleams, taking on a shield-like shape that hovers near you for 1 round, granting you a +2 bonus to AC, an advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects for 1 round.
And I can still use a hand as normal?
Yeah. And also, if you expend 3 charges as an action, the shield manifested lasts for 1 minute instead of 1 round. If you expend 5 charges as an action, instead of creating a shield or replacing your shield if already manifested, you create a shimmering force wall with 10 feet, within 10 feet of you that lasts for up to 1 hour.
And how big is that shield wall?
10 foot by 10 foot?
Just one?
10, within 10 feet. The immobile plane of solid force is up to 20 feet wide and tall and a 1/4 inch thick.
Ooh.
The plane of force wall conforms to the space available. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature is pushed, and nothing can physically pass through the wall.
Yeah, I like that one.
All right. I will add it to your character sheet. Gauntlets of
Okay.
Shield and Branding for you.
Nice.
Let's see. We're looking for something explodey for our ranger. How about, exploding arrow?
Gonna get all Rambo on them.
Let's see. This slender rod has a tiny metallic device at one end, and is similar enough to an arrow or crossbow bolt that it can be used with those weapons. It explodes when it hits a creature or solid object, such as the ground. All creatures within a 10-foot radius sphere must make a DC 13 dexterity saving throw. A target takes 2d6 plus 2 piercing damage on a failed save, half as much on a successful. If the arrow struck a creature, the creature also takes 1d6 piercing damage from the arrow itself. An exploding arrow has an automatic. Oh yeah, don't worry about that part. Yeah, it can be used only once. We got exploding arrows. Not too bad.
So it's a one use. That's a 1 use thing, is it?
Yeah, but we can give you a quiver full of them if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, we can. We can give you like 10 or 20 of those.
Yep. Sounds good.
Let's see. So do you want the scales? No.
So I was thinking. Oh, okay.
Spot. Do you want the scales?
No, it's not draconic.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Emitter, golden iron cloak, gravity nullifying spray.
Actually, if he suggested it, I would say yes.
Let's see. What is Spot looking for? If he doesn't want any sort of flesh, is he looking for?
Anything to improve his Eldritch Blast or grant him additional spell-like abilities. Because he and melee don't get along.
They don't go together. Okay. What are you looking for, Tantor?
I mean, so what does the fist do again? The fiery one?
It increases
encompasses my body.
It increases your, yeah, it just basically covers you. You could say flame on. And then you are covered in flame. Let's see. Fire. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so basically it covers you in fire. It increases your AC by 1. And if you hit something, you do an extra 1d6 of fire damage, basically. Or if something touches you, it takes a d6 of fire damage.
Yeah, that's a little too killy for me. I imagine Tantor, because Tantor's kind of a pacifist.
Oh, so he doesn't want to be covered in fire.
Yeah.
I get you.
I don't want to look too aggressive while I'm turning into a giant fireball.
Please don't construe this as an act of aggression. Whoosh.
So he'd be all about like either, you know, something that could help him maybe subdue someone, or something that just makes him more of like a shield for people.
Well, we can get you those bracers of protection.
Okay,
right?
that works.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what you like. That'll protect you up real good, you know. Okay, so we're getting close to the end here. So what I'll say is, if you see something, so go ahead and look through some magic items. Nothing legendary, obviously. Anything that's rare or below, fine. Anything that's if it's very rare, run it by me. But you guys can pick something if you know something that you like. Okay, so you guys get armored up, get kitted up, because we'll continue this next session. You guys head back to meet with Morik, and he runs. So I'll run this by you so we can get into it on the next session. And you guys can plan this during the week. Like you guys can continue talking on chat over the week. So basically, what he tells you is there is a train, very well protected, very well armored. It is going to be moving basically from the south to the north, and it is carrying a weapon on board. What it looks like is unknown. He just knows it is there. He needs it either captured or destroyed. He needs it to, and if you can get any information on who created it and where it was created, that information would be very valuable so that they don't have to do this again in like 6 months. And he knows that, so the train will be moving very fast. It will not be stopping along the way. Like it will, like the sort of the track has been cleared, or the rail has been cleared, and it will be moving sort of in a nonstop trajectory. It's going to take it 3 days to get around the desert. It'll be a 3-day trip. He can help you. Morik can help you coming out of the desert, like to try to disguise you. But once you get past the desert, like to where the rail is, there's nothing he can do to help you. And he can help you if you can get into the desert. He can help you with extraction. But there's nothing he can do to help you once you're sort of there, other than to kit you up with what he can give you. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what you guys know. We're gonna end here. Talk amongst yourselves. If you need to ask Morik any questions, I'll answer them as him in the chat. But yeah, so the next session is going to be the heist.
Okay, sounds good.
Did you add the stuff to our inventories? I
will.
Seen it.
Okay. I'll put it up on D&D Beyond, and I will add it to your inventory.
Awesome.
This week.
And
if you
I'll
guys,
look at stuff and.
Yeah, and if you guys if you look at it and decide, I really don't want that. Like you have a whole week to decide, pick an item, possibly 2, So probably not two very rare items, but if you said, oh yeah, I want these two uncommon items, or like maybe a rare and a common item, like we can work something out. But yeah, look at it, and yeah, we'll put something together, and then next week we'll pick up. It's all about the heist, and that'll do it for today.
Cool.